Chapter 47:15. Chapter 47:15. The sudden change of style made Longfei have some mistakes. A wipe, the system's sister. Is this geoding already psychic? Can you still feel what I think? Longfei asked, but immediately I feel that it should not. Because until now, he did not recognize the Lord. Moreover, how powerful, such as Longfei, how could it be so easily sneaked into the mind and still communicate with the system sister? If Ding Ding is so powerful, I am afraid that the earth has long been the supreme plane. Master, this is automatic traction. I guess it is really good. These 9 big trips are won. The owner wait for Juding to be won. And at that time, this piece of heaven and earth, afraid of doing nothing, can be directly opened up. The system sister said excitedly. Directly open up? Longfei's heart was a meal. If Emperor Ding really has this kind of divine power, it is really as extraordinary as the system sister said. Because if Emperor Ding really can break the barrier between the two worlds, that shows that this Ding Ding not only can suppress the present, but also has absolute power for the world. Otherwise, Longfei would not believe that those people would be willing to give up so many souls. Boss, is this the 9-in-1? Liu also asked at this time, his eyes sparkling. Well, when Jioding is won, when it is really finished, it is the time to open the door to another world. Longfei said, for the Liu, nothing is concealed. As for other people, after just one battle, only 6 people were shocked. And these few people, Longfei, also have plans. The voice fell. In addition to Xian Yu Xianzong and Xiao Yuer, Liu is also amazed. Especially the other few people are even more aggressive. Adult, what is the door to another world? It is not weak for a few people to repair. In particular, after the baptism of the air and light rain of Longfei, it has reached the peak of the world. Water flows to lower place. Man goes to higher position. They naturally desire more powerful power. Another world is another world. Of course, you can also understand that the earth is the east, the legendary mythical world. Longfei said, hiss. Several people took a breath of air. The mythical world for them is the Arabian Nights, and I can't imagine it. If they don't say it from Longfeiku, they must think that this is a joke. Adult, does the mythical world really exist? The mountain shivered and said, this news is too shocking. For them, it is undoubtedly an impact. Of course there is, and all you imagine are there. Longfei said, there is no need to hide. Wait until the Jioding is won. The world opens up. That world will be fully presented. Tell them now, and there are a lot of cognitions. For a time, everyone's eyes looked at the giant tripod hovering in the void, as if for fear of missing the miracle opened up in this world. Longfei is just the opposite of them. At this point, Longfei's heart was calm. The integration of Juding takes a certain amount of time, and it is impossible for them to intervene. Because the system sister also said this is a kind of self-evolution between the 9 parties. It seems that the integration of this decision is not as simple as it thought. Longfei thought of it. In the void, Jioding is still hovering, and the patterns are intertwined. It seems that it is definitely not a simple project, because each of the giant tripods has been painted with different patterns, want to be perfectly blended together, and to evolve on their own, it is definitely not completed overnight. And this time is not sure. System sister, according to the speed of integration of the current giant tripod, how long will it take to complete the integration? Longfei asked. Master, I've just already played it. This time, the integration of the giants is afraid that it will take half a month. I have a feeling that this giant tripod is also a rare super treasure for the owner. The system sister said. Longfei nodded. The idea just about to exit the system space, but suddenly felt a flash in the system. Then, hey, congratulations to the player to trigger the mid-autumn special task. Refining. Task level, none. Task time, 1 hour. Task reward, special legion system. Task trigger, no. The system sound suddenly appeared. A dragon flies. I rub, mid-autumn festival mission. The system is also so humanized. Is there any penalty for this task? Is this a welfare? Long Fei's heart suddenly moved. This kind of task is unprecedented. In particular, this last reward is to make Long Fei heart fascinated. System girl, what is going on? Long Fei asked. Master, this time should be the welfare of the Supreme Plane. After all, the system has now been upgraded to the top version and will not be updated. This time, it should be a benefit for all system players. The system sister was slightly indulged and then said, after listening to it, Long Fei still can't believe it. After all, it is harder to pull the hair from the mouth of the system than to climb the sky. Now, the cold and unsophisticated initiative to send benefits, but also let Long Fei some accidents. No matter what, just right, taking advantage of this mission, help Li Yu to improve them first, improve their combat power, and face the world of swearing in the future, but also have the power of self-protection. Long Fei must be in the heart. For the unknown, Long Fei never wanted to think more. Put me in front of me, just fight for the day. One thought of this, Long Fei took a moment to take out the refining materials directly from the system's space. Since Ding Ding can't give you, just give you a refining. Turning around, Long Fei said to Li Yu, boom. The next moment, as if to prove the words of Long Fei, these materials taken out by the dragonfly instantly burst into the divine. The light filled the world. This time, both Xianzong and Xianyu have changed their faces. A strong breath. Wow, big bad guys, is this a refiner? How terrible is this horrible god? Refining? The mysterious light of Xianyu is faintly expected. Obviously, I also want to share a piece of it. This kind of thinking is naturally not a dragonfly. Reassured this time you all have. Long Fei mouth corner pick said. At this time, Li Yu also seems to be the purpose of Long Fei. The eyes are even more than expected. Then, Long Fei looked up and looked at the figure of the void, his eyes fixed. These gods are all dragons flying in the world of Tongxian, and they are searched in large quantities. Strong and powerful. Perhaps compared to the scorpion sword, the king's blade is incomparable. However, it can definitely override the vast majority of the gods. Even the town demon tower can't compare. The next moment, Long Fei moved his hands. Heaven and earth are furnaces. Nature is fire. The world is a refinement. Give me a cure. Long Fei shouted. This is a super alchemy born out of ancient alchemy, is an upgraded version of the system reward. Directly put the hegemony of the natural fire to the extreme. At this moment, it is natural to use these bodies to concise them. Booming. Under the fire of nature, these figures melted. Long Fei thought a move and started refining directly. In the blink of an eye, a giant seal, 2 long swords, and a chain snake soft sword are directly formed in the void. Chapter 47:16. Chapter 47:16. The light of Juding still filled the world, but the attention of several people in the field was all fixed on Long Fei. This kind of miracle never dared to imagine. Is this in the refiner? Miracles, miracles. Can the refiners still have this means? It's incredible. I feel like I have lived on a dog for the rest of my life. The 8 soaring people are constantly feeling. There are too many things happening this day. Every piece is an impact for them. At this time, Long Fei was immersed in refining and did not care about these gaze. Now, although 4 weapons have been formed, they lack spirituality. The next moment, Long Fei began to portray. The rules he has mastered are too powerful. It is enough to make these 4 weapons into the Xian of the heavens. Xianzong and Xianyu have 2 long swords, adhering to the vastness of the Buddha, being just and tolerant. It is most appropriate to use the rules of the sky. Heaven and earth have tolerance, and everything is breeding. Brush to brush. Long Fei's hands were creeping, and the rules of the sky were coming, and they were painted on top of 2 long swords. Boom! The 2 swords are stunned and breathtaking. As if in front of the long sword, like a face of the sky, a kind of humble feelings are born in the heart. Xianzong and Xianyu brighten their eyes and instantly lock the sword. Dragonfly. Bastard. It's all open, and the face is full of emotion. When the rules of the sky came out, they naturally felt that the sword was prepared for them. Even if they have not been refining, they have already had expectations in their hearts. Long Fei smiled lightly, did not speak, and turned to a chain snake's soft sword. Then, Long Fei's eyes were condensed. The penalty rules instantly appear at the fingertips. This penalty rule is also the 2 rules that are obtained from the world of Tongxian. Hey, Long Fei is portrayed with fingertips, and the rules of punishment are imprinted on the chain snake, which makes the whole chain snake full of strange feelings. Hey, not waiting for Long Fei to finish painting. The whole chain snake is full of spirituality, twisting its fingertips and directly transforming it into a chain like a bracelet wrapped around the arm of Xiaoyer. Long Fei brother. Xiaoyer is ecstatic. His face is full of blush, beautiful, not square. Gently stroke the chain in your hand. In her opinion, this is not a weapon. It is more like a kind of sentimental token. Long Fei's eyes also flashed an obsession. But just in an instant, I woke up. Nice. You love it. But still the last one. Wait until I finish painting. Long Fei said. His fingertips fell directly on the Xiaoyer bracelet. Boom. In an instant, a dragon-like dragon with a dragon-like shape appeared at the end of the bracelet, adding a bit of beauty to the air. How about it? Long Fei asked. His eyes were full of favor. It's beautiful. If you can, I would rather this is never a weapon, but a gift from Long Fei brother. Xiaoyer's face is obsessed, and if she has long been lost in the tenderness of Long Fei. Aha, Scorpion, then you have a good collection. But you can't dominate the boss. Isn't my weapon still good? Liu said with a laugh. Long Fei shook his head slightly and hesitated. Between the backhands, the rules of the earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars, the 3 rules are shot at the same time. Booming. The power of the rules. Any one is unique, not at all comparable to ordinary forces. Nowadays, Long Fei has played 6 kinds of rule powers in one breath. In the eyes of other people, Long Fei has long been a god. The same is true of Liu. Looking at Long Fei, he began to portray with the power of 3 rules, and his heart was moved. Reassure, you carry the inheritance of Feng Tiandi. Jioding is your credit, and now I can't give you. I will naturally compensate you. This print is in the name of Feng Tian, melting the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the land. You control this seal, and as long as it is under the power of Ling Xiao, you are in control. Long Fei said. As I said, I did not stop at all. At this time, the natural fire that has been melted is burning again, as if it were forged twice. Under the impact of this flame, on one side of the big seal, the Japanese stars, the mountains and rivers are intertwined and distinct. As if the living structure is a pair of thousands of miles, the mountains and rivers are generally horrible. Boom! Suddenly, the flame went out. The east seat of Long Fei also came to an abrupt end, and one side of the big print also slowly landed in the hands of Long Fei. Give this party to you. I'm also assured of going to another world. And you, with this seal, can revitalize the Oriental practice world. Long Fei said. Liu said, No, boss, why don't I go with you? There's a touch of anxiety in the eyes of the fish. There's a lot of involvement in opening up another world. I'm afraid that people in the world will be restless. With you staying here, I can safely do my business. But you can rest assured that by then, you will have the opportunity to shoot. As long as the people of that world want to be a blessing in the East, you directly suppress it. Long Fei said with a smile. The expression of the fish is calm, although still full of unwillingness, but hearing can help Long Fei. It will not say more. And with the end of Feng Tian's refining system, a voice also appeared in Long Fire. Hey, congratulations to the player Long Fei to complete the Mid-Autumn Festival refining mission. Hey, congratulations to the player to activate the Special Legion system. The system sounds down. Long Fei, his eyes are directly locked in the Special Legion system. Special Legion system. Players can include the world's strongest and form a legion. Simple to the ultimate seconds. But Long Fei's mind is already clear. An error occurred. This should be the result of the system sister. For a time, Long Fei's heart was depressed, and his belly was not good. The system's sister, this supreme plane, is too shameful. It is clear that this is what you pushed, and also specifically what welfare missions are really pits. Lone Face said with a slap, I am thinking about it, and when I'm going to L's position in the future, I must slap the person who issued the mission. But at this time, the system's sister said, Master. In fact, I have not yet performed. After all, even if I am promoted to the top level, I'm also a derivative of the system. Even if I push the ability to fight against the sky, I can't compare it to the Supreme. The system's sister grievances said, A dragon flies. With a wry smile, he comforted, Nothing. When I am stronger, you will be able to stand alone. By then, by your ability, you will never be worse than the Supreme. Lone Face said, Okay, Master, but you said it is good. The system does have some tricks. This award is not too bad for me. It can be said that basic plagiarism. So, I feel that the system should not be that simple. The system's sister said, The face is solemn. What do you mean? Long Fei was wrong and asked some doubts. The sound of the voice just fell. The system sound appeared in the right. Hey, congratulations to the player to start the second ring mission, the town of this world, the east in the world. Chapter 47:17. Chapter 47:17. The system sounds down. Lone Fei's heart was shocked, and his heartbeat was slow. The system girl is showing such a look. Task level, none. Task time, 3 days. Task reward. The player specifies the summoned, the character that appeared in the system call. P.S. Includes people who have dissipated. Mission punishment, none. Lone Fei's heart was amused. This time, for Lone Fei, it is really a welfare task. The person who has been summoned? Can it be summoned? Haha, this is a special thing. Lone Fei laughed. A character flashed through the mind, and it was decided directly. Master, is there already a candidate in your heart? The system's sister asked. Yes, once I summoned him, but did not give her a stage. Let it die in a war. It is a regret that I have never forgotten in my heart. Lone Fei said, thinking of the invincible existence that was summoned at the beginning, Lone Fei felt infinitely in his heart. Nowadays, there is an opportunity to call the other party again. It is impossible for Lone Fei to miss it. The next moment, Lone Fei looked around and looked at a few people. Liu, here I will hand it over to you. The integration of Ding Ding, absolutely no chaos. Lone Fei said, Boss, you can rest assured that there is me. Ding Ding is absolutely foolproof. Li Fish patted his chest and promised. But immediately, as if I realized what I was, I quickly asked, Boss, are you leaving? A look of disappointment. He already knows that Lone Fei intends to keep him in this world, to prevent the strong of the other world from coming to the world. Not so fast, but there are too many clowns in the world to come and not to be indecent. Since they dare to come to the east to make trouble, then they are ready to be destroyed. But this time you can stick to this place, and else I will personally. Lone Fei said faintly, Do not say anything else. Even if the system did not release such a task, Lone Fei had to patrol before leaving. After all, the existence of those places may really be what you want. Of course, it is only possible. However, since there is an opportunity, Lone Fei will naturally not let go. Now that the system task is released, naturally, Lone Fei is also in the first place. What Lone Fei didn't know was that he was at the Supreme Plane at this time. A middle-aged man has a young man standing opposite. What happened? Why didn't he reach the Supreme Plane? The middle-aged people have some confusion on their faces, and their affection is also very strong. It seems that something more difficult is already imminent, and he's upset by the oppression. A little accident, the first-generation system has been awakened, and now it is in the process of integration and some suppression of Lone Fei. Now Lone Fei has passed the system and returned to the earth. The young man said, Time is too late. The power of the Promised Temple broke out several times, and the madmen were crazy. The middle-aged man said, A glimpse of the youth. It seems to think of what is generally. Then we will intervene again and let Lone Fei grow up quickly. The young man said, No, it's too late. We can do it, and now we have to wait. The middle-aged man said. The young man nodded, his eyes turned, and he looked at the sky and was full of expectations. Another place, Great Yangjia. At this time, the Great Yang dynasty is barren. Once the glory is no longer, no one can fight the stars. In particular, Jiang Chunxiu led people to go to Wanjia, looking for a saint, and did not return after participating in the dispute of the king. The level of the Great Yang dynasty is even more linear. The murder of the gods. Is it true that my goddess in the big sun is no longer there? Is there a demarcation of the Great Wall in the world? Damn, who can save us? I hate. Hate can't be born for a long time, otherwise I am in the big world. How is this? In the Great Yangjia, in the Yangyang Shrine, several old people sighed in the sky. They are all masters of the big sun goddess, and naturally remember the glory of the year. Only now, everything has turned into a sigh. What they don't know is that at the foot of the Sun Palace, a child of about 10 years old is frowning at the shrine in front of him. So weak? How? Was this special? According to the information that the old man passed on to me, this time the other party came to the forefront, fearing that it would be the level of the Invincible King. I was still looking for foreign aid. Now it seems that this big Yangjia is totally unreliable. The child looked helplessly. This person is the son of Long Fei, Long Ingdao. If Long Fei is here, I will feel that there is no reason. Let go of the time flow between the earth and the Great Yang. Even if it is against the sky, it is impossible to grow to this extent in a short time. This is definitely the second Invincible. Go to his mother, no matter what. In any case, the old confession must be settled, otherwise there is a face to see the old man. Furthermore, I heard that my brother is also a prestige in the Wanjia, and he must not fall behind him. Long Ingdao thought in his heart. His eyes were certain, showing a kind of stability that was different from the complexion. Then step out and step into the shrine. The people in the shrine are listening to me. I am the son of your great sun goddess, come to help you against strong enemies. Long Ingdao screamed and broke the great sun, the silence since ancient times. The picture turns again, the ancient world. The face of the big sun girl is full of sorrow. She is worried about the great sun, just as Long Fei cares about the ancient world. Especially at this time, the heart seems to have heard the sound of Long Ingdao, and it makes her restless. No, I have to go back to the Great Wall. The big sun said fiercely. In an instant, a gaze is fixed on the big sun goddess. Luluo River is the first woman to follow Long Fei. At this time, there is naturally a feminine style. God girl, are you really making a decision? Lu Luoshi asked. Luo, she's sister, mother, and child. You're also a mother. I think you should be able to understand my feelings. If you change it to be invincible, one person is outside, facing a strong enemy. I think you will never sit still. Daon Goddess said. I understand, so I have already expected this day. However, it should not be the son of you alone, but also our son. And it is an invincible younger brother. So, this time I'm going to let Yuan Ba and the unintentional people, as well as the little invincible, go with you. Lu Luoshi said, a firm face. The eyes of the great sun goddess are happy, but they are immediately heavy. No, the ancient world also needs to be guarded. I can't make Long Fei embarrassed. The great sun goddess firmly said, do not worry, we have us in the ancient world. And now, in the ancient world, there is the Tsangxing Avenue under the dragon's flight. The general strength is not necessarily able to attack. So don't you refuse. Lu Luoshi said, yeah, God girl, we are all family. If it is not my strength, I want everything to go. God girl, sister, you can rest assured. Xiao Ingdao is the son of Long Fei. I believe absolutely extraordinary. We are here, waiting for you to go home. Then, Euro, Blue Charm, and others said. The eyes of the big sun goddess moved, slammed, and wept. Chapter 47:18. Chapter 47:18. The earth is above the ocean. Long Fei also has Xuanzong, Xuanyu, and Xiaoyer, and 4 figures stand up, booming. The stormy waves, the demon wind swept. Long Fei, brother, a good demon. I am afraid that it is terrible to cultivate. Xiaoyuega said. Between talking, I also secretly looked at Long Fei. It seems that I feel like I am a drag bottle now. Long Fei gently held Xiao Yu's hand. Reassure, when the world is opened, your cultivation will never be weaker than Xuanzang. Long Fei said, the foundation of Xiao Yu is very strong, waiting for the world to open up and enter the mythical world. At that time, let Xiao inherit the inheritance of the great emperor, fearing that it would rise all the way to a degree of terror. Big bad guys and me I want too, Xianyu said with a grin. Reassured, I still have this kind of inheritance. You are the same. The foundation is too strong. When you wait until the mythical world, you will inherit the inheritance, and you will be arrogant. Long Fei said faintly. Then I turned my eyes and locked the ocean in front of me. But now, this revitalizes the Eastern Xiao Xian civilization, and it will take the first knife from here. Long Fei said. After that, Long Fei's feet fell. Boom! A huge force is like a wave, and it bursts. Rumble. The roar of the sea and the sky, like the tsunami, the whole ocean has become a wolf. Oh, la la la. In the endless waters, suddenly the power of the earthquake came out. Brush the brush. At this time, the road is the figure. Let's go, who are you? Even dare to interfere with the cultivation of the great god. Is it hard to find death? I don't know how to live and die in the East. If you kill 1,000 people, you will forget it. Even dare to go to our country and disturb God. Death is not enough. Unforgivable. I dare to make a fuss when I am a little repaired. I will definitely leave them today. I just took advantage of this opportunity and announced to the world that I am forbearing the strength of the shrine. An angry face stared at the dragon and screamed. At the same time, the eyes are full of wild vision. In their view, Long Fei and others just sent themselves to the door to find death, to fulfill their reputation. Long Fei's face is as usual. Long Fei, brother, it seems that they have been waiting here. Xiao Yueke said, these people are native monks of the island nation. It is only a stage of the late stage of the flight. It is not as good as her. It is impossible to get here so quickly. Normally, although a big snake is a demon, it is indeed a godlike existence compared to them. Long Fei said faintly. Moreover, Long Fei has already perceived that the beasts in the bottom of the sea have just awakened and are still in a relatively weak stage. And these people appear here, there must be some conspiracy. At this moment, Xianyu suddenly frowned and said, have you discovered that there is something wrong with the sea here? It has a strong smell. Xianyu said this, the talents reacted. At this time, the whole sponge will be on the scene, and suddenly there will be a skyrocketing resentment, which is very gloomy. Moreover, it is also mixed with the atmosphere of endless evil. It is the blood of life. No wonder they are here long ago. It seems that they are preparing rations for the big demon on the seabed. Long Fei said faintly. In his eyes, nature sees through the beginning and the end. The next moment, the radiance of Long Fei's eternal life will sweep away all the seabed. A huge snake, like a hill, squats on the bottom of the sea, and around it is a forest bone, countless. Even the bones have piled up into mountains. There are hundreds of thousands. Damn, Long Fei hates it. Killing a child has long been commonplace for Long Fei. Invincible roads are so lonely, only the bones can be made. The road to practice is the road to killing. Once again, the enemy is placed under his own hands in order to lead to no one. But Long Fei, asking himself all the way, the people killed, there is no innocence. Even if it is a company, it is because those people are resentful. Long Fei naturally wants to get rid of the aftermath. If this snake is engulfed by the practitioners, it can only be said that the weak meat is strong. However, above these bones, there is no trace of practice. In other words, these people are all ordinary people. Moreover, Long Fei even felt a desire from these resentments, a desire to survive. If these people are all people from the island, Long Fei will not have such a big feeling. However, in order to endure the virtues of the shrine, it is obviously not going to do so. Long Fei, brother, nearly half of them are Orientals. At this time, Xiao Yu suddenly said sadly, okay, can you perceive it? Long Fei asked quietly. The heart is extremely heavy. Yes, Long Fei brother, I have guarded the East for hundreds of years. The thought of the East, I am extremely sensitive. Even if they're already dead, I can feel the helplessness and despair in these bones. Xiao Yuer's face is sad. The dead are like this, but they will not die in vain. Long Fei's voice is boundless and indifferent. At the next moment, Long Fei's eyes gaze at the person in front of the shrine. People are all you are looking for. Long Fei said faintly, one word at a time. There is boundless anger in every word. How is it angry? What is it? A group of ants, only to use their blood to provide nutrients for the recovery of the great god, is their privilege. Of course, not only they, even you, will become the nourishment of the great god. Oh, the blood of the Eastern sisters, the taste should be very delicious, and the great god should like it very much. In a ninja shrine, a person who looks like a young man, but who is a child, looks very sinister and stands out. My blood? I am afraid that he is not eligible to enjoy. The sound of Long Fei was once again depressed. Not to mention a demon. Even if this mythical saint, talking in front of Long Fei also dared to let the other side dismount. Hey, qualification? I hope that when you're swallowed up by the great god, you still have the temper to talk like this. Several people are forbearing shot. This person said, take the lead. Resist the gods, the ultimate kill, the thousand shadows. Brush the brush. In an instant, thousands of figures appeared on the void and attacked several people from all directions. Olympic god hides. Olympic shadow blade. A number of sounds appear at the same time, and throughout the void, there was also a sense of killing. Long Fei looked sneer and looked at the void. You shot, one does not stay. Long Fei fainted. Hey! The words fell, and a figure came out. At the same time, the light flashed in the hand, and a chain of chains was derived in his hand. Oh, la la la! The chains are like snakes, dancing in the void, and the cold atmosphere spreads over the sea water, directly causing the sea surface to freeze, penetrate the void, and condense in continuous space. At the same time, those thousand shadows hidden in the void, or flashing, are nothing, exposed, frozen. You, go to hell. Xiao Yuer's hate broke out in the light, and the snake in his hand was like a sword waving out. Chapter 47:19. Chapter 47:19 Brush. Above the chained snake's soft sword, the power of punishment bursts out. For a moment, these figures that were frozen and imprisoned in the void were like the sinners who were waiting to be punished, directly pierced by the soft sword. Hey! One by one dissipated, because these are all avatars, but they are a kind of ninja. But the real body, which was not spared, was also worn by the soft sword, and the soul flew away. As for the other shots, the result is the same. Under the penalty, they are guilty of sin and a sword is killed. Below, there are some people who have never shot the shrine, and they are completely confused. Dead, they're all dead. Who are they in the end? How could it be so powerful? This is the strongest of us to endure the shrine. Fast, for the present, you can only ask for the Lord. Several figures rush to escape, but the direction is boundless deep sea. Xiao Yuer's gaze will continue to be shot. However, it was intercepted by Long Fei. Leave them a dog's life, put a long line, and catch big fish. When they're all one by one, they will be completely solved. Long Fei said with a deep voice. Forever, this is Long Fei. Moreover, Long Fei also believes that the tasks released by the system, even if it is a welfare task, will not be so simple. The real purpose should be the ancient powerhouse of recovery in these countries. Of course, this kind of strong is also relatively speaking. For Long Fei, the fart is not counted. The picture turns. Several people who endured the shrine were in a hurry and fell into the deep sea. The resilience of heaven and earth, this means, is not too difficult for them. Resent the Lord, help, help. Several people sank all the way, came to an arrangement to isolate the sea, and directly asked for help. What happened? Didn't I say that? During this time, I will follow the great gods to practice. A voice came from it with anger. Right, we don't want to, but this time, we really have a big trouble. Yeah, the Lord, a few of the gods are shot and killed directly. They are too strong. They are there, let alone preparing for the great God. If we are not running fast, maybe we will all die there. Several people said with sincerity and fear. What happened? Sure enough, the face of the Lord changed. Then, a few people described everything that happened before. Oriental monk? Only one person shot? I really don't know how tall and thick. Exactly, this seat has been with the gods these days, and the strength has gone even further. It has already touched the fairy in the east. This time I want them to come back. The bearer said. The figure flashed and suddenly disappeared. At this time, above the sea, coming, Lone Fei's eyes moved, and a smack appeared in the corners of his mouth. Brush! Wearer and other 3 people turned their eyes. Boom! A wave of huge waves rushed out of the sky and rushed out of the void. Then, a figure wrapped up in the dark and scarlet colors all over the body, condensed on the void. Ignorance of ants, dare to offend the majesty of God. I will represent the true God. Destroy your group, humble leader. When the bearer appeared, he took a very proud attitude. Cut the picture. Then, on the surface of the sea, several figures appeared. A face is calm and relaxed. The Lord is worried. They will die. I am afraid that the Lord will not be light and heavy, and let them die too cruel. Oh no, their flesh and blood, the gods still need it. But it's a pity that these little skins, moms, long is really beautiful. A group of people are infinitely obsessed. However, they did not find it. At this time, the eyes of the Lord in the void changed. Because in front of me, the dragon flew 4 people, looking at his gaze, without the slightest fear, but a mockery. It seems to be a clown. What happened? Why? Why can't I feel their breath? Don't they all be mortal? However, why can mortals show this expression to me? The heart of the bear cannot help but raise doubts. But at this time, in a word, let him completely fall into anger, and can't think of it so much. Big bad guys, let me shoot this time, this guy is not weak. And the breath on his body made me feel extremely disgusted. He also has a share of the blood of these souls. Opposite, Xianyu stepped forward and said, It is good. Lone Fei nodded. Let's go. You are a humble ants, afraid that you don't know your identity. I am. The face of the bearer is full of anger. Even if it is wrapped in the darkness of scarlet, it is difficult to cover up. Don't talk nonsense. Grandma doesn't care about who you are. Well, who cares about what a dead person is called? F-O-E-N, open. Xianyu shouted, and the long sword went out. Boom! A star frost is vast, and the power of the sky is crushed out from the long sword. Boom! The Lord only felt that his shoulders were sinking, and the whole person fell from the void without control. How come? Ninja's face changed dramatically, like a madness. This breath, for him, is naturally suppressed. Moreover, the thick sense of Buddhism made him feel the fear in his heart. No, this power has already exceeded this world. How is this possible? How is this possible? The heart of the man is horrified. More importantly, now he has no power to resist. The whole person was directly suppressed by the power of Xianyu. F-O-E-N, open. Swordsman demon. Xianyu Jiao sighed, and the long sword came out of the sheath and suddenly stabbed the Lord. At the same time, a Buddha standing in the void, the sword lotus in the hands is also blooming. Boom! Falling in an instant. The sword lotus opens, and the Buddha holds the sword. A sword is like a rain, suddenly falling. Countless to the sword shadow is also neglected to penetrate the body of the Lord. Puff puff. In the blink of an eye, the Lord is directly pierced into a sieve. Do not. Great God, save me. I don't want to die. Ninja dragged his last breath and asked for help. The opposite of the violent performance before. But Xianyu is simply not moving. The figure of Lingxiu is empty, like a heavenly road. And a Buddha in the void is its embodiment. Great God, but it is a monster. Dead. The sound of Xianyu is very cold, and the sword in his hand is once again falling. Hey! A crisp sound. The long sword directly fell to the head of the bear. Normal combat is crushed. In the distance, Long Fei looked at the forbearing lord who was beheaded by a sword, and his mouth moved. "Oh, all are dead. The rest, it's time to come out," Long Fei said faintly. At this time, a roar broke out from the bottom of the sea. "Who is dare to hurt my people? This sea today we must eat raw meat and other flesh and blood, to pay homage to the soul of our people." Rumble. The huge waves are soaring, the clouds cover the sea, and the whole world is also shrouded in darkness at this moment. Chapter 47:20. Chapter 47:20. The sky is dark, and the sky is evil. The evil atmosphere of a stock rises from the sea. Hey, a wave of the sky, against the Long Fei and other people overwhelmed. At this moment, Xuanzang shot. It is also a sword, but it is much deeper than Xuan Yu. One sword is out, that is, 3 Buddhas appear. Similarly, there are countless Buddha shadows. The Buddha's sword, accompanied by Xuanzang's sword, suddenly slammed into the huge waves that came over. Boom! Numerous Buddhas, simultaneously swords, and swept directly over the huge waves that were overwhelmed. Hey, like splitting the sky, the huge waves are divided into 2, and then divided into 3, divided into 4. Only in an instant, the huge waves were defeated by a sword and a sword, and there were countless dark breaths, which also instantly collapsed. Things that show off the tail, give me out. Xianzang snorted and was a sword. I saw the top of the void, thousands of Buddhas gathered together. A giant Buddha with a high number of tens of thousands of feet floated above the void. The left hand was painted, and the right hand was stabbed into the deep sea. Boom! A loud noise broke out throughout the deep sea. Rumble, rumble. This piece of ocean seems to have exploded, and the sea water has become boiling. If it is cooked, countless fish and shrimps are blown out of the sea in white. At this time, under the deep sea, there was finally a roar. Roar! Don't dare to destroy my self-cultivation. Die for me. The voice was very angry, and there was a lot of anger in it. It suddenly came from under the deep sea. Xuanzang's face was condensed, and the sword in his hand was gripped. Hey! A black man appeared in the sky, slammed and attacked Xuanzang. Xuanzang's cultivation is, after all, it is already the peak of Tai, and the heart is naturally fearless. Looking at the shadows from the attack, it does not retreat, and, at the same time, a sword is thrown out. Hey! The long sword collided with the black shadow, and the scorpion shot an endless spark. However, it did not see a trace of blood. In other words, this long sword did not break the shadow. On the contrary, Xuanzang, under this collision, has retreated several steps. Roar! Then there was another burst of roar. But it was not a single sound, but 8 sounds. Tai Jingxian? This is impossible. When the emperor of the Great Qin dynasty broke the world and had 2 swords and 2 kunluns, it was impossible for anyone to achieve this repair. After the roar, it was a burst of exclamation. Then, after the sea of wrath, after a while, a huge monster finally appeared in front of everyone. Long Fei's eyes are also locked in the moment. Sure enough, this is a gossip snake. Long Fei thought of it in the heart. It's a pity. Now the system doesn't have a summoning card. If you can summon the man who needs to be called out, it will be cool. The collision between myth and the system is a bit irritating. Long Fei's heart is in the belly. Unfortunately, there are no summoning cards and no special rewards in the system. So, this time, you can only rely on yourself. Of course, Lien Long Fei did not think that this gossip snake was so familiar with what happened on Earth. Even the 2 worlds of Kunlun know the beginning and the end. However, what Long Fei did not think was that the sword was broken for 2 days and turned out to be the first emperor. It seems that the mystery on the Earth is deeper than I thought. When the emperor of the ancient times, there was such a skill. Long Fei's heart was suddenly shocked. However, the shock is shocking. But is not afraid. Then, Long Fei will look at the gossip snake. You're the monster of the East? Long Fei asked, although the gossip snake is the of the island country. But in the view of Long Fei, it can know that the secret of the ancient times, there must be an absolute connection with the East. Yes, boy, the origin of this seat is said to scare you. You are best to retreat now, so as not to lose your life become my belly. The gossip snake said. The other head of the serpent suddenly said. In the distance, Lone Fei and others glimpsed. It seems that they did not expect that the 8 heads of this serpent had their own consciousness. I want to eat this. I dare to hurt me with a sword. I swallow that. No one should grab it with me. No, there are 4 people in total. We have to separate and 2 to swallow one. Several tongues rushed to speak and kept saying. Obviously, Lone Fei and others have been treated as fish on the cutting board and are already being distributed. Lone Fei is amazed. The gossip snake is not weak, but it is only relative. Perhaps you can have arrogant capital in front of Xianzong, but in front of yourself it is a slag. Originally, he also thought that if he could know something from the gossip, he would have nothing to do with his life. After all, this looks like it is indeed fierce enough to be scared. But unfortunately, at the moment when the gossip snake opened, it had already lost the only chance to survive. Xian, come back. You're not an opponent. Lone Fei said. At the same time, step out and go straight to the sky above the gossip snake. If you can know Tai, then you guess, what am I doing? The dragon's mouth was picked and a sneer came out. Before, Lone Fei did not shoot. Even if it was empty, the other party could not perceive it. Because after the immortal, between the steps, is absolutely crushing. But now, with the dragon's step in this step, the momentum of the body is like a rush of the sky. The sea of anger subsided, and the heavens and the earth sank. Puff, puff. And the next moment, the gossip snake is even more crazy. The 8 snake heads are constantly moving. Of course, it is retreating. At the same time, one after another black blood spewed out of the mouth. Daluo, the top Daluo, half-step quasi-holy. I am Nima. Is this a joke? Who are you? The 8 heads were completely flustered at this moment. Among the basketball-sized eyes, all the fears were revealed. He just woke up, was prepared to devour blood, and then dominated the world. Unexpectedly, I suddenly encountered such a monk. At this moment, the gossip snake has a feeling of eating and eating, which is extremely uncomfortable. Or, I want to give you a living, but now it seems that you are looking for death. Lone Fei said coldly. The system task is on the one hand. The point is that Lone Fei is very curious about the things of the earth in the past and wants to understand. The gossip snake is undoubtedly the best choice. It is a pity that the gossip snake did not know how to live and die, and put his mind on them. Yes, I can see that my cultivation is done. Then how do you want to die? Lone Fei smiled. No, you can't kill me. Now the world is coming out soon. If you dare to hurt me, my father will kill you. Don't say that you are a big Luo. Even if you are quasi-holy, it is easy for my father to kill you. So I advise you, don't be too arrogant. If you want to be interested now, you can get out of here, and the king can still ignore the suspicions and don't care about you. The 3 heads of the gossip snake said that they were arrogant. The arrogance is extremely proud. There's only one concept in the mouth. That is, there are people the background is very hard. Chapter 47:21. Chapter 47:21. Lone Fei's eyes were extremely disdainful. Threat? He has never been able to get through here. If he is afraid of threats, Lone Fei has long been a plaything in other people's palms in Tianwu, and he has long since surrendered to the of Xian Emperor. What is your father so arrogant? How is it better than the saint? Lone Fei smiled and asked faintly, Saint? The sage counts as a gossip, and the singer is used to it. If he doesn't react, he will roar. I can wait for the reaction, and all the 8 heads are closed. Who is sacred in the world of saints? Even though the 2 worlds are still not open, the gossip snake has been able to perceive the majesty of the world. Therefore, if you go to the mouth, you will also swallow it. The saint is high. What do you think you are, dare to say holy? The gossip snake snorted. Not a saint. How many do you put? Lao Tzu even dared to marry the sage. Still dare not move you? The dragon flew at the corner of his mouth and said coldly, You have to let go. Boy, arrogant have a limit. Don't think that the mythical world is not born now. You can do whatever you want. The sage is so powerful that it is a will that will make the sacred bow, and a luo is free to kill. Although you have the luo shio, but in front of the saint is a cockroach ant, also said sacred. Why don't you say that you killed the Jade Emperor? The gossip snake is silent. Yes, the kid is too arrogant. This silly brain is sick, and I don't scatter my urine to look at my own virtues. I want to compare with the saints. Blowing the bulls doesn't look at the place. If the king had known the world, he might have been cheated. 8 heads one by one. Long Fei is also a glimpse. The dark gossip is really the best. Death to the end, there is such a thing. I want to kill you. Don't say that the world is not holy. Even if the saint is in front, I can't stop lousy. Dead. Long Fei was a heavy drink. Make a fist and punch out. Hey! The dragon flies across the ocean and turns into a streamer. The fist broke through the void and smashed the endless void. It's awkward. The whole void was burning under the fist of Long Fei. The gossip snake face became flustered, dragging a heavy body and instantly retreating. Boom! The infinite waves were picked up by the gossip snakes, directly forming a tsunami, which spanned 1,000 miles between the eyes and drowned a city. The speed is fast and hard to imagine, but he is fast, and the dragon is flying faster. Hey! Light and shadow flashed. Long Fei figure chased the past, and then a punch fell against the gossip snake. Booming. Without a punch, the entire sea surface is under the power of this boxing, and it is rampant. The gossip snake also knows that it can't run at this time, and directly pulls out a long tail and rises up the sky. Hey! Long Fei hit a long punch, and a long tail hit, and a loud bang broke out. The incomparable breath of horror erupted instantly over the ocean, and then I saw endless black blood falling from the void. In the distance, Xianzong and Xianyu have been stunned. It's so strong, it's just a punch. If the big bad guys are full of firepower, how terrible is it? Xuanyu sighed. It is indeed very strong, and now the repair of Long Fei is still being suppressed. If it is completely released, it will be afraid of shaking the world. Xuanzong is also a look of horror. She had already fought with the gossip snake. But the sword can force the snake back, but it can't hurt the defense of the snake. It can be seen that the strength of this big snake is definitely not weak. But now, the other party in the hands of Long Fei, even if fist cannot hold, it can explain the horror of Long Fei. Ah, looking for death. I dare to hurt me. But the king is too much, boy, die together. Demon Dan out. 8 heads of the gossip snakes are surprisingly unanimous. With a determination to burn Jade, the open mouth and the fangs, a singular demon, suddenly emerge from the mouth. At the same time, it sprays a horrible atmosphere. Can Long Fei, the offensive does not stop. Creating the body, Kai. During the process of marching, Long Fei's heart was filled with a deep voice. Directly created the body of creation. Rumble. At the same time, 8 horrible forces fell on the void. Every tongue seems to contain a kind of horror, wind and rain, lightning, and the flames of the rolling stones are very poisonous. Booming. This force directly turns into a light column. For a time, between the heavens and the earth, the atmosphere of endless darkness is wrapped up, and the horror is incomparable. Even if you're a big Luo, under the fatal blow of Ben Wong, it is sure to die. As long as you said that the background of the king is very deep, you still want to die. I can force you to use this power, is also your chance. The gossip big snake said cold charm. The trail is just a hit. Do you want to go with me like this kind of power? Moron. Long Fei was indifferent. Long Fei's eyes flashed a disdain, and his body was like a dragon. Before and after the vertical and horizontal directions, it seemed that he did not care about this power. Boom! An electric light bombarded on Long Fei. However, Long Fei does not evade at all. Under the level of the 4th level creation of the body, this kind of attack is nothing more than an indiscriminate tick. Don't care. Boom! The hurricane passed, the poisonous rain was over the sky, and the fluttering stone of the flying sand was overwhelming, and it fell directly toward the dragon. Yes, just in a moment of flying close to Long Fei moved with it. A slap in the face covered the past. Hula. All the power is directly returned to the original road under the palm of Long Fei. Boom. The huge force bounced back directly, and the gossip snake, which was still very proud, was instantly forced. No, it's impossible. How can it be? The power of the demon. Give me the melt. There was a trembling in the voice of the gossip snake. For his own strength, he can resist, but this kind of power that is sent back by Long Fei is mixed with a kind of force that cannot resist. He has a feeling that as long as he dares to touch this power, the only result is death. In a hurry, the gossip snake directly integrated the 8 demon shards to resist the dragonfly. Rumble. A shocking roar. All the power he had used before was turned back by Long Fei. Hey! Above the demon, the light disappeared and became dull. There have even been a series of cracks. But fortunately, this power finally dissipated. A joy in the eyes of the gossip snake. Kid, you dare to hurt me. Wait a minute, when I return to the mythical world, I will definitely cramp your skin. Demon Dan Rome. The gossip snake swallowed the demon, and then plunged into the deep sea. Obviously, under the violentness of Long Fei, I directly recognized it. I want to escape. Late. Give me death. Long Fei's sound still cold charm. Immediately after another out of the palm, just at the moment when the gossip snake is about to disappear, a palm falls. Puff. Do not. Roar. A panic and screams came out. Then the entire sea surface became a scarlet. Chapter 47:22. Chapter 47:22. Above the scarlet sea, there was a stench. The blood of the gossip is completely reddened by the sea. Then a huge snake body emerged above the sea. It is a pity that this snake is under the palm of a dragon. It has been riddled with holes and is almost broken. It has become scarred everywhere, and the snake bones are exposed. Long Fei walked over and stepped forward, taking a look and taking the demon from the body of the gossip snake. At this point, the demon has been dull, but still strong. The breath of the Tai Peak still reveals. As for the body of the gossip snake, Long Fei has no interest. Although the strength contained in this body is not weak for the current Long Fei, there is no use of fart. In one thought, Long Fei's hands were pulled, and a natural fire appeared out of thin air, directly melting the body of the 8-diagram serpent. But at this time, if the yin yao is now, it will appear again from this demon. I rub another demon? Isn't it if it is 9? Long Fei's heart was slightly shaken. 9 heads? Then his origins are really not simple. 9 worms? Who are the 2 witches? Long Fei guessed in his heart. There are 2 thoughts in the mind of Long Fei. Of course, these 2 existences are also the existence of myths and legends. Long Fei has not seen it, but even the descendants of the winning streak exist, and they're definitely not in the air out of nothing. Interesting. It seems that after entering the mythical world, the resistance will not be small. Long Fei thought in his heart, but I didn't care too much. After the system task appeared, this road was already doomed. There is no escape route. It is absolutely impossible to give up. In Long Fei's life creed, there is no such word. Whoever is who he is, even if it is a saint, Lao Zi's road must go. Long Fei's eyes must be high, and his eyes are high in his eyes. Blood is not cold, just dry. At this time, because of the aftermath of the battle, it has been madly swept, but under the control of Xiao Yuer and others, the power of the tsunami did not affect the eastern land. On the contrary, above the island, it has become a mess. Long Fei, brother, do you want to take care of it? Xiao Yuer asked. I can't bear it in my eyes. Long Fei hesitated slightly. No, we are not in an era, and perhaps hatred has disappeared over time. But in my heart, I still think that some mistakes, time cannot be annihilated. The enemy who used the blood and tears to annihilate, for whom the future generations will forgive. I didn't hurt them. It's already done right. Long Fei said, a cold look. Looking at the village where the tsunami was flooded, it was indifferent. Even in the mind of Long Fei, The impulse to watch the fire shadow appeared in the past. That is a village that died. For a long time, when the sea water was completely submerged and gradually sinking, Longfei did not have a mind to continue to stay. Let's go, there's still some places I have to go there again, Longfei said quietly. At this time, the system task panel has also changed. The second ring of the serial mission has also completed 20%. Seeing this, Longfei understands his heart. There are only a few real threats in the world, and the inheritance of the remaining civilizations is only a short period of time, which is simply not enough. One thought of this, Longfei did not stop in the heart. The gods locked in one direction, and then the sky suddenly fluctuated and several people disappeared. What Longfei didn't know was that at this time, the southernmost part of the cultivation area in the east, in the endless jungle, a violent explosion suddenly broke out. Anyone who? Who is it? I dare to move the blood. Is this try to find death? Under the moon, a group of people dressed in black and strong in size are worshipping around an altar. The most central person suddenly screamed, "Brush!" For a moment, all the steps stopped. Then, all the faces became confused. What? Big blood? Is there a big blood in this world? Don't they all be in another world? The leader, what is going on? Yes, and the blood. How powerful. How can someone in the world be able to hurt them? The crowd said, they are one of the birth gates of this time. It is not so much a fairy. It is better to say that it is a group. They are the ancient witches. However, the spread of the witches is not easy. Even if some inheritance is preserved, it is also incomplete. Yes, the real big witch is definitely in another world. However, when the world changed suddenly, before the end of the law, the great witch left blood. Yesterday has passed my unique means of the witches, mourning me. Let me find each other, waiting for the world channel to open and a piece into the mythical world. I even gave me a drop of blood to make an introduction. Let me feel. But just now the blood is broken. The leader of the witches said, "What? The blood is broken? Doesn't that mean that the blood of the big which has been given?" And said the crowd, saying that in the end, they have not dared to continue. This result is unacceptable to them. I can pass through the obstacles of penetrating the world with my own ideas. It can be seen how powerful this witch is. But now, the big witches are asking them to find each other. Can be turned around. The other side is directly destroyed. If this is to wait for the world to open and wait for their fate, it will be imaginable. No, you must not sit still. Now what we can do is to find each other. No matter who the other party is, we must win the other party. In this way, we can calm the anger of the great witch. Yes, we are born now. We must find the other party. For a time, the entire southern Xinjiang land, one after another strong in breath, turned out. At this time, Longfei, but has already taken the Xuanzang III to another country. Ancient Egypt. There is a desert in front of you, innocent. I can't see the beginning and the end. Longfei's expression changed slightly. According to his own memory, the whole earth can't hide from him. With his cultivation, he can cross the whole earth at a glance. But now, facing this piece of desert, it has made Longfei have an illusion. Can't see through. As if there was some kind of power that limited his eyes, he could not extend his knowledge. Longfei, brother, the breath here is so depressed. I feel a little dull. Xiaoyuer said openly. Yeah, bad guys, I also have this feeling. It seems that under this land, there are horrible things buried, as if looking at me under the ground, extremely uncomfortable. Xinyu also said, yes, I have this feeling too. Longfei nodded. Then I turned my eyes and looked at my eyes. No wonder the system is going to release such a task. These factors are really unstable. But unfortunately, no matter how mysterious you are, how old the inheritance is, you will eventually become a fly ash. Longfei thought in his heart. At this time, the change is sudden. Rumble. The pyramid in front of us began to collapse at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, a tyrannical and horrible atmosphere broke out from under the pyramid. Chapter 4723. Chapter 4723, the huge roaring sounds continued, and the megalithic tower that stood tall has become completely ruined and became a ruin. At the same time, the evil atmosphere of stock broke out from it. Hey, hey, hey. Overwhelming black shadows erupted from the ground. Yinling. Long Fei's voice sank. These things are extremely old and have a sinful atmosphere that makes people feel sick. Not only that, the shadow of the body, but also wrapped in the usual unruly, the entire mummified shape. What is disgusting? Big bad guys, what is this? Xianyu looked awkward, and the sword in his hand had been squirted. Is this a mummy? Xiao Yuer said. The shadow of the sky, flying in front of him, made Xiao Yuer fall into a state of tension. She can perceive that there's a kind of deep resentment and hate in these shadows, and it seems that there's a rejection of all living beings. Even with his current cultivation, he felt an incompetent enemy. Hey, that bunch of old things didn't lie to us. There really is a creature coming. Students who are still practicing, they have won them, and they use their souls to sacrifice their faces. Ha ha ha. The of Anyabai, who has been silent for a long time, can finally lead us to control the world. Among the countless shadows, bursts of sinister laughter broke out. Several people have been treated as a kind of meal under the table. Long Fei naturally feels the tension on Xiaoyer's body. Instinct and body movements will hold Xiaoyer behind him. This action is very subtle, but a few people are spiritual practitioners who are naturally aware of it. The fluster on Xiao Yuer's face disappeared at once. Anyabai, the of the cemetery in Egypt. It seems that these people are the ancient creatures who are buried in the pyramids. Long Fei said faintly. The face is dull, not to mention a group of ghosts. Even if they are in the mouth of Anu, Long Fei will return the other party back to the cemetery. Therefore, at this moment, Long Fei has not had the slightest panic, but has an expectation. Since the other party is the most powerful existence in this party civilization and is regarded as a by these people, then the strength should not be weak. And the strength is strong. For Long Fei, it is very likely to be a boss. In the thought of this, Long Fei's eyes came to the spirit. Looking at the Yin of the sky, not waiting for this Yinful movement, the dragon flies all over the body. Create a body that directly oscillates the void. Rumble. The invisible pressure is directly radiated from Long Fei. The blood of the sky burst into the body of Long Fei, and this power is simply fatal to these evil things. Boom! A loud bang appeared, and only one shadow after another was imprisoned directly from the void, and then it rained and fell. At this time, Long Fei took the initiative to take the step forward. Long Fei's hand held a long sword. Originally, in dealing with these existences, Long Fei did not have to shoot at all. Even if they buried the years under the pyramid for countless years, it was extremely sinister. But in front of Long Fei, a gas is enough to kill them. But now, Long Fei does not want to delay time. A sword is waving, and the ghost of the sky is directly invisible. Oh, what is this power? Too horrible. And what a shadow. Why do you have the feeling of Anyabai? No, there's horror than Anyabai. Not my spiritual thoughts. For a moment, all over the place were screams. Under one thing, the power of winning the hook broke out, and it was a swallow. Do not give any chance to resist any of these ghosts. Hey! As one and the other spirits dissipated, the sorcerer's sword suddenly burst into a radiance. Hey, congratulations to the player to upgrade the magic sword, the current level of 5. The system sounds crisp and incomparable. But let the dragon fly and shine. Is the magic sword upgraded? Long Fei subconsciously looked at the long sword in his hand. During this period of time, it is too slow to cultivate itself. There is no such thing in the world that can bring him experience. On the contrary, it is the foreign affairs of all parties, and the means are becoming more and more powerful. Especially the scorpion sword is a constant breakthrough to bring surprises to yourself. Then, Long Fei's eyes are directly locked on the sword. 0/20,000. Description: the level is higher than the player's 6 levels, directly spike. Within the 10-level range, the probability is spiked. This is the second technique about the scorpion sword. It is quite normal, and there's a small level of spike attribute than before. Long Fei didn't care about shrugging, and then continued to watch. Killing skills. The town of the sword disappeared, the fusion of the konjac. Exhibition conditions. The player's life attribute is reduced to a dangerous state and is automatically activated. Cooling time, upgrade refresh, call. Long Fei took a deep breath. This time, it is the experience of Long Fei, and I feel the heartbeat speeding up. This time, the magic sword, the upgrade to Long Fei brings too much surprise. In the words of Long Fei, it is simply violent to death. I Chao made it and sent it. Unfortunately, there is no power in the world for me to apply this skill. Also, the conditions are too harsh. Long Fei thought in his heart. However, it can be imagined. Such a bad skill. If there are no such harsh conditions, it is a strange thing. But that's it. It's enough to make Long Fei's heart shake. But at this time, there was another burst of change. Long Fei has no time to enjoy the horror and joy brought by the upgrade of the magic sword, and it is attracted to the past by this change. I saw it with this endless dying. Aside on the boulder of a sphinx, it suddenly burst. Then, an ugly figure slowly began to condense. Ha ha ha. This is finally born. The Emperor of the East, I can't think of it. You have tried your best to break the fairy road and destroy the gods. Instead, it has become my nourishment. Now, the whole world, I am the master. Today I, of the cemetery, return. An angry drink appeared. Enyabai, the dragon flies in the mouth. In an instant, Xuanzang and Xian Yu's face were also changed, and they looked cautiously at the front. They have perceived that the masters of this voice are terrifying and beyond the scope of their ability to confront. Dragonfly, big bad guys, be careful. The two exclaimed, but none of them came forward, because they know in their hearts, at this time, their shots will only affect Long Fei. And Long Fei, but cast a look of understanding. Then the sword in his hand moved. Since it is the of the cemetery, it is good to stay in your graveyard. This world can't hold you. Long Fei took the sword and walked, one word at a time, said coldly. Chapter 47:24. Chapter 47:24. In the legends of ancient Egypt, there are many gods. One of the special existences of the cemetery is arguably the most systematic one in the practice of inheritance in Egypt. In the original era of Long Fei, it was familiar to Pharaoh and the mummies, and these forces are related to the of the cemetery. If the mummy is the servant of the cemetery, the Pharaoh, the name is the nemesis of these beings, but more like a watchdog. It's like the master is sleeping. They stay at the door and wait for the owner to wake up. Sure enough, Long Fei has not yet shot, and a commotion came from a distant sky, which just confirmed the speculation of Long Fei. God, the ancient Anyabai is really awakened. God, we are all your people, guarding your longevity. These people are the food we prepared for you. Please accept the sacrifices of your most loyal people. Whizzing, several figures came out of the air. Hold the staff in your hand and wear a robe. Then, these people went straight to the Sphinx and began to pray. Ha ha ha, after thousands of years, the finally recovered. At this moment, a laughter appeared. The ugly figure that appears above the Sphinx is getting more and more solid. Lion body, human face. Anyabai's face was enjoyed, looking up between the sun shining on his face. Thee is awake, and the darkness should come. The light is gone, and the soul is right under the tomb. My people come out, Anyabai said incomparably. Immediately, as its voice fell, the yellow sand rose and covered the sky. In the twinkling of an eye, the darkness really came down. Even the sky's Tianyang is dull and tarnished. However, Long Fei knows that this is only a means of Anyabai. What can be concealed is that there's only one side of the world. If it can really let the sun star fall in one sentence, I am afraid that the world will not leave him. Hey! A shattering sound appeared. I saw one of the mummies crawling out of the ruins of the pyramid. Up and down the whole body, I pulled a layer of white cloth, and some of them had already been soaked with blood, full of sin. In the distance, the pharaohs of Egypt have already seen their eyes, full of expectations. The dark spirits buried underneath, they finally came out. Haha, this time, seeing how the Super League and the Super League alliances fight with us, we're the only ones. Look at it. It will soon be 1,000 horses, and the darkness will reappear in the world. We will be able to become a peerless strongman by following the footsteps of Anyabai, and the whole world will tremble at the foot of my door. One by one, Pharaoh said, did not notice under the ruins of the pyramid, the sound has disappeared. Longfei is not in a hurry, just watching it quietly. Well, my people, come out. Anyabai's voice changed with a bit of anger. However, there is still no response. At this time, Longfei finally moved. You don't have to shout. They have already died under Laozi's sword. Longfei said with a look of disdain. After waiting for such a long time, I thought that the of this legendary cemetery was in a big move. It turned out that it was just a joke. I couldn't help but think of Xiao Bai in the mind of Longfei. This scene is very familiar, and it is completely white. And at this time, in the ancient world, Xiao Bai, who was practicing above the ancient world, suddenly opened his eyes. Auntie, who is talking about me? Hey, I dare to talk about Xiaoya behind the scenes. When Laozi is a great man, you must look good, the little white baboon said, and then immersed in cultivation. The picture was turned again. At this time, Anyabai's line of sight was also transferred to Longfei's body. You are the master of the East? Impossible, the world does not open. How can you have this kind of cultivation? Just a glance, Anyabai is directly scared. Just now, he has been immersed in the joy of being born, completely overwhelmed by madness, and has not seen Longfei and others. You can climb out of the cemetery. Can you not have this strength? Longfei dismissed. Moreover, Lao Tzu is a food prepared by your people. Come, Laozi is standing here. Watching your teeth is not sharp enough. Longfei said. The sword moved directly, locked in Anyabai. At this moment, Anyabai's eyes filled with hatred and turned to look at a few pharaohs. If you can, Anyabai can't wait to give birth to a few people. A group of dog things. This is the blood food you prepared for me? This is to give lousy blood. Anyabai said in his heart, hate heaven. At this time, several magic weapons also felt the look of Anyabai. Perceive an anger of Anyabai, and quickly said, the great Anubis, these are the most powerful people in the East. They have killed our people. It is the gossip of the island nation. Only their flesh and blood are worthy of you. Please enjoy it. Several people said with sincerity and fear. The gesture was lower, and they were directly on the ground, and they did not dare to lift them up. Anyabai is trying to kill a few people at this time. They don't perceive the power of Longfei, but he can understand it clearly. Especially when Longfei raised his sword in his hand, he felt a sense of death. This feeling is even more terrifying than the battle of the gods thousands of years ago. Dog things, you are too long to live. Do not die. Give me death. Anyabai screamed. The lion's body moved, and a dark mangling flashed through his body. Boom. What? No, my God. We are all your people. Why do you want a scream of screams? Instantly raged. I saw that the figure of the three people had been shrouded in endless darkness at this moment, and in the darkness, one of them was like a cockroach. Just a few breaths of time, these people were directly torn by the horrible creatures in the dark, and even the bones were torn. Even when they died, they did not understand that they waited for the darkness to come, and finally they became dark flesh and blood. Longfei looked coldly. All of this is what they're taking. The strong man of the East, I don't want to be an enemy of you. These people make their own claims. Count you, I have killed you. Anyabai said, a dragon flies. I do not think of this scene at all. Longfei wants to ask, you are a god, but the of Egypt. How can I have no such exercises, but I haven't shot yet, so I'm going to stop. Of course, what Longfei naturally does not know is that those who dare to shoot at Longfei could not see through the repair of Longfei. At the moment, what Anyabai said is that was thousands of years ago. Naturally, I can see the horror of Long Fei. Therefore, I dare not touch Long Fei. Chapter 47:25. Chapter 47:25. The darkness dissipated and the ghost disappeared. Then, the Antobi of the Sphinx turned into a man and came to Long Fei. Can you see through my repairs? Long Fei looked up and asked faintly. Anubis moved his head. I don't know how much your repairs are, and the breath on the sword has made me feel horrible. If you shoot, it doesn't matter what you do, this sword will take my life. I will be buried in the ground. Anubis said, a frank face. When I heard Anubis' words, Long Fei's heart moved. Without guessing, Long Fei could not think of a win. Only the atmosphere of winning the hook can make Anu fear like this. It is also a product of darkness, but the existence of the winning hook is obviously much higher than Anubis. Otherwise, it will not let Anubis have such oppression and directly believe. On the other side of Long Fei, there are some difficulties. If you don't open your eyes, it's a sword. But now, this initiative is awkward, but it really makes him a little helpless. As if I was aware of Long Fei's mind, Anubis' eyes turned. I can't follow you. At least, my current strength is stronger than your woman. And I know a lot of ancient secrets. Anubis looked up at Long Fei and said with a look, a dragon flies. It was once again refreshed by Anubis. After a moment of hesitation, Long Fei said, I finally know why all the gods are no longer only the reason you stay. Too bad. I have to say that the gods do this, and it really makes Long Fei look at it. Yes, after Long Fei's arrival here, God's thoughts have swept. Within a radius of 1,000,000 miles, there's only Anubis, and there are no other powerful creatures. According to Anubis, he had experienced the battle of the gods of the year, but only he himself survived. Thus, it can be seen that the temperament of this second is the foundation of his survival. Anubis does not agree. The world was terrible. You have never experienced the battle of the gods, and you don't even know the great emperor of the East. How terrible it is. Not only will you close the mythical world of your East, it's even killing us in the West of the East. If I didn't feel the danger ahead of time, I buried myself early, and I'm afraid it's hard to escape. Anubis said. His face still showed a kind of fear. It can be seen that the horror of that war in that year. Long Fei also came to mind. Is the emperor so powerful? Killing the gods, a sword broke the fairy world? I can't help but yearn for it. After all, Long Fei is also going out of the earth. In the history of the emperor, there are many different opinions, but Long Fei thinks that the first emperor all over the body is full of mystery. Now, I have also obtained evidence from Miss Anubis. For a time, Long Fei had a feeling in his heart. That is, it will not take long before he will meet the legendary emperor. But now, Long Fei no longer thinks about it. Looking at Anubis, I have to say that your perception is accurate. If you are shot, there is only one way to die. Not much nonsense. You have to surrender to me. I can give you a slave position. Long Fei said meaningfully. What? Anubis said with a look of anger. A sense of humiliation comes to mind. He thought that relying on his gods and chasing Long Fei would be extremely valued, and look at it. Unexpectedly, Long Fei actually humiliated him and regarded him as a slave. How? Unwilling? Long Fei sounds cold. In an instant, Long Fei's body was shocked. Create a 4-level body directly open. Boom! Anubis was dark in front of his eyes, and his heart sank. He only felt that an inexplicable pressure was directly suppressed on the soul. Puff! Under the pressure of Anubis, the whole person collapsed. Do not! Anubis snorted and was extremely unwilling. Then I tried my best to look up, and one after another, the dark force burst out from the body. But between the heads up, I saw that Long Fei didn't move. How is this possible? What exactly are you doing? Why is it so strong? Anubis is amazed. He thought that Long Fei was really strong, only the long sword in his hand. But now, Long Fei is just an imposing manner, so he can't lift his head. Even he has a feeling. This is just that Long Fei wants to give him a chance. If Long Fei wants his life, he has no chance to resist. With this in mind, Annubai has no luck and unwillingness to say anything. Adult, forgive. Annubai is willing to surrender, said Annubai. Longfei's momentum was restored and returned to normal. Very good. One day, you'll understand. Even if you're a dog around me, you will be much more noble than the who used to be taller, Longfei said. For Annubai, Longfei positioning is very simple. Being a brother is impossible. Friends, it is impossible. The only place that can be given to him is the slave. That's it. Annubai's eyes were dim. He naturally understands what Longfei said in this sentence. I can see the horror of Longfei. Annubai has no other thoughts in his heart. He quickly said, Master, Annubai is willing to be a slave to the grown-up. Annubibi stumbled directly in front of Longfei and gasped and said, Yes, in this case, your name will be changed in the future, and it will be called Anu in the future. Longfei said his face was dull. But in the discourse, there is no disobedience and no rejection. The owner of Anudisi gave his name, said Annubai. At this time, Xuanzang and Xianyu, as well as Xiao Yuer, have also been completely confused. Looking at Longfei, it is already speechless. They thought it would be a big fight, but they didn't think it would be such an absurd result. Big bad guys, this too, Xuanyu was shocked. I don't know what to describe later. She didn't know Annubai's past, but the atmosphere that Annubai has just shown has surpassed them too much. Is such a statue, the invincible power on the earth, now squatting at the foot of Longfei, willing to be a slave. In addition to this change, they have nothing to think about. Don't be shocked. This is just an appetizer. Later, you'll get used to it. I will repeat the myths in the future, the gods and gods. That is the real spectacular. Longfei Mao sighed, said with a smile. Xinyu is not clear, so obviously there is no concept for these gods. But Xuanzang, but it is a sudden change in looks. But it was quickly suppressed. Annubai slammed his head and looked at the young man in front of the green shirt, the black-haired dance, and there was an inexplicable thought in his heart. Maybe he said it really. Even if I am a dog, I will be nobler than the gods in the future. Chapter 47:26. Chapter 47:26 East, Yuzhou Land. The roar of the roar is still constant. The night is like a white, and the light of the ding-ding is filled with it. At this time, Jiuding has completely emerged the Zhou shape. 3 or 3 are column. Jiuding is surrounded by each other, and power communicates with each other. Countless waves of Shuangguang descend from the sky and directly silence the earth. Then, the entire eastern land, as if a certain force was activated, began to form an extremely delicate reaction with Jiuding. Jiuding is the emperor. Now it is one, afraid that it is comparable to the fairy. Some people lamented, looking at the void, and the eyes were drooping. But just think about it. When I thought of Longfei's sizzling shots, even the singer's lord of the squadron slammed into a fist, and they thought about it and drowned it. I don't even dare to think more. Hey, Sienna's a fart. In the era of Emperor Sui, even if it is a fairy, he has to bow down. Someone retorted, in the era of Emperor Sui, although there were people who practiced, Sien did not exist. Therefore, in their eyes, even if they are immortal after the integration of Jiuding, they will have to go down the drain. Unfortunately, this is a supernatural treasure that falls in the hands of others. Some people deplore the sentence. For those who are supreme, whoever sees who is jealous cannot wait to control in their own hands. This is not easy. Do you want to grab it? Now that person is not there. Listen to the fat man saying that he is going to sweep the world. In the past few days, I have just married the big snake of the island nation. Hey, these talents are really embarrassing. Everything that is done is shocking. It's too strong to be able to kill the door when it exists. But I also advise you that the fat man is also strong and outrageous. That battle killed 6 strong players in the late stage. If you want to grab, you have to look at your life enough. Someone said on the side, they are all scattered. At this time, it has been a few days since the matter about Yuzhou. Everything that happened on the day has already spread throughout the land of the East. And about Longfei, it is suddenly myth. Do not say a punch to destroy the terrorist power of Xianming. Just letting the 8 dying people between the fingers and fingers directly become the strongest of the peak of the ascension is enough for everyone to respect. Coupled with Longfei's almost enchanting refining means, it is for everyone to define Longfei as the immortal. But they couldn't think of it. The so-called fairy, in the eyes of Longfei, the fart is not counted. Who are you talking about? Who gets the ding-ding? Also, what a big snake has been killed. At this time, a horse-like iron sound appeared. This sound is very chilly, but also with killing. Who are you special? So loaded? The people reacted. One of the young and energetic young people said with anger. Yes, the voice just fell. Hey! The black shadow flashed, and a very strong figure flashed into the air. Say, a word of sinking. I said, it was just a few days ago that Ding Ding was born, and this person directly frightened and lost his soul and said everything from the beginning to the end. Hey, when a voice fell, it was also put down by the strong man. The leader asked, it should be that this dragon is flying. However, it seems that this person is not weak. The sturdy man said that his face was a little more worried. Oh, rest assured, this time I have taken the saints of my family. Even if this child is really comparable, it will die, said the head of the person. But before this, Emperor Jioding could not let go. Go to Yuzhou, said the head of the person. Immediately, several figures disappeared, and those who are still staying in the same place are still undecided. To horror, who are these people? They are very old and should be ancient. But it looks like they are looking for Longfei. These people face each other and even have a few points of light in their eyes. Go look, I feel that something big will happen. Do you still feel it? It must be a big collision. I just don't know who is stronger. Everyone guessed, infinitely longing, and agreed to go in the direction of Yuzhou. At this time, Longfei did not know about all of this. At this point, Longfei was shocked with a few people and came to the Super League. Anu, this is not a star or a half compared to yours. Longfei sighed. In addition to the ground buildings, there is an airborne city in front of the building. Floating city floats above the void, and there is no support point underneath. It can be said that it is a full suspension design. I have to say that this means that as Longfei saw that there was a little accident. Master, there's a special kind of energy here, very special. It is because of this power that the floating city will stand up. However, this country has no foundation and is not enough. Anu said. Longfei smiled a little and said nothing. Looking into the Super War Alliance, there is also an expectation in my heart. Super League? I don't know those superheroes. Marvel heroes are not there. Is there a tyrant? Is there any blush? Iron Man, Hulk, Deadwaiter are there? The more I think, the more excited I am in the heart of Longfei. This is also the goal of the system to reward the Special Legion system. In other words, after Longfei learned that there are 2 forces in the world, the Super League and the Super God Alliance, they have already thought of this. So the system girl will be deduced. At the moment, standing in front of the Super League, Longfei was excited. I have begun to think about a group of superheroes in their own system space. Suddenly, above the entire floating city, a search super battleship directly dispatched, directly exploding countless lasers. This laser is extremely lethal and instantly penetrates the void and goes straight to Longfei and others. Anu reacted instantly, and the body immediately turned into a lion body, blocking it in front of Longfei and others. For this scene, Longfei is very satisfied. Since it is a slave, do what you should. Outburst. A laser sweep and spread the sky are laser stars. Puff puff. These lasers, all without exception, fell on Anu's body. Just for a moment, on the body of Anu, there were pits of different sizes. A line of blood emerged from Anu's body. The damn, sad reminder of the ants can actually hurt me. Anu looked angry. Yes, these laser battleships really pierced the defense of Anu. Although there is no serious injury, even so, it is enough to make Anu angry. Who is he? He is the of the cemetery. Take control of the dark power underneath. Even if he surrendered to Longfei now, he did the dog onto the door. However, there's still a dignity and pride in the body as a god. Therefore, at this moment, Anu was completely angry. "Get me out!" Anu's voice was cold, and the darkness of the whole body surging, and the shadows of one after another broke out in the body of Anu. Chapter 47:27. Chapter 47:27. Anubai, under the wrath, was extremely horrible, almost incarnate in the darkness, and the Sphinx suddenly burst into the air. In a twinkling of an eye, it turns into a giant creature about 100 feet tall. With the expansion of this body, the atmosphere of endless darkness erupted from him and continued to spread with him as the center. Booming. The darkness sweeps like a tidal wave. Just for a moment, it will cover the sky above the Super War League. Quack! Dead. Humble ants daring to hurt the gods of the great cemetery and kill them. A sacred spirit smashed out of the lion's body and squatted in the sky, rushing to the battleship of the War Alliance. Puff! A white bone was shot by a laser and turned into a fly ash. In a blink of an eye, there is a spirit that directly penetrates the warships of the War Alliance. Oh, la la la. The battleship was broken directly into slag, turned into pieces of scrap iron, and fell from the sky. Boom! Just a few breaths of time, the whole sky turned into such a scene. Countless battleships turned into scrap iron and fell into the blue smoke. A group of slag. I want to use this means to attack thee of the great cemetery. It's really whimsical. Arnu snarls. The already splendid Sphinx is even more terrifying at this moment. At this time, within the Alliance, it has become a mess. This is the of the cemetery? Why are the demons in the dark to attack our war leagues? This is a provocation and cannot be tolerated. Remove the superheroes' restrictions and dispatch superheroes. Otherwise, my Super League will be difficult to stand in the world. A group of people were filled with indignation and screamed at the table, and they were furious. It's good to say that when we are in Super League, are there only these heat exchangers? When my superhero comes out, what gods will die? Commander, start the Ares plan, and let the world tremble at the foot of my war league. Yes, the commander, this ugly thing is really odious, and it is standing at the foot of our war league. It is also said that they are the core figures of the War Alliance. In the shadowy eyes, it seems that a certain decision has been made, speaking to the man at the center of the round table. Okay, start the Ares program. The voice of the commander of the War Alliance sank and said secretly. Immediately, the core members of a group of war leagues, with a look of excitement, pressed the palm of their hand at the same time with a mark in front of them. Rumble. A burst of light flashed out. Focusing on the round table, it began to spread. Boom! The light disappeared, and at the same time the round table was completely sunken. Below, it is a broader space. However, in this space, all are glass containers. And among the containers, there are people standing like sleeping people. Start the Ares command. Number 1 God of War, dispatched. The commander of the War Alliance is sound and orderly. It seems that under this power, it is easy to get in touch with the predicament. Hey! As the voice of the commander of the War Alliance fell, a low voice appeared. Then, in this space, one of the most front glass containers was unsealed. Then, there was a staff member wearing protective clothing, holding a blue business cube directly and pressing the top of the head in the glass container. Brush! The blue crystal blends into the body at once. At this time, the man opened his eyes directly. God of War 1, go, destroy the enemy of the War Alliance. The commander of the War League is stunned. It seems that everything is in its own control. Hey! The figure slowly shifted his gaze, and then jumped out and flew directly out of the War League. At this time, outside the void, Long Fei looked at the crazy slave, and he looked as usual. The of the cemetery should have the look of the of the cemetery. At least, it seems that there is some value now. A new quick fix. Long Fei said, these exist, this kind of attack, not to mention the dragonfly, is to deal with the level of the master of Shaoyue. No difference is equal to none. Relative to the ascent, perhaps the lethality is not bad before the opening of Xianmen, in this world, enough to dominate. But once faced with real masters, this kind of attack is nothing but a car. Good master, look at it. I will bombard this war alliance into a slag. Anu said, do not dare to disobey. Even if he is mad again, killing, and then violent, Long Fei a word, let him instantly lose his temper. The next moment, on the body of the lion, more darkness is released. In the twinkling of an eye, the entire War League was overshadowed, and he himself seems to be incarnate in a black hole, a dark creature, released from his body, the impact of the claws and the claws toward the direction of the war. Big bad guys, this guy turned out to be so strong. However, this breath makes people feel very uncomfortable. Xianyu looked stunned. Looking at Long Fei is even more obsessive. At the time, Arnu's means of exerting her gave birth to her heart. But such a powerful person is willing to be a slave in front of Long Fei. What does this mean? Explain that Long Fei itself is even more horrible. The of the cemetery belongs to the power of darkness, and the practice that you cultivated has a general meaning. Nature is a natural resistance to this power. But don't mess around. Such a super beater, I have other plans. Long Fei said, after seeing the means of Anu, in the mind of Long Fei, the instinctive thought of the throne of the white bone. I thought of my own white bones. Today, this army is still recuperating, but it won't take long before it can be reborn and overbearing. And they return, because of the limitations of the system, there is a high probability that there is no way to fight for a long time. But now, there's Anu, of the cemetery, just to give them a place to be. Even under the influence of the power of the dark power cemetery of Anu, it is possible to make a breakthrough for the white bone core. But now, this is just a guess. If you want to implement it, you have to wait until you solve it. In a twinkling of an eye, Long Fei looked at the crazy slave and thought, Mom sells the batch. Is it wrong? There is no Avenger in this war alliance. Only some super hot, or some genetic warriors. Long Fei's heart is inevitably somewhat lost. Thinking of the infinite glove that I got before, Long Fei's heart is extremely dumped with the power of the complex. Only after the system changed, these forces were also annihilated. It can be said that among the entire system, except for the Wanshan building, everything else has been annihilated. The former War League can disappoint him. He is eager to see things and does not appear. But at this time, a figure flies directly out of the void. In the blink of an eye, Long Fei's eyes must be, at this moment, he actually perceives the original power. Yes, it is the original power in the universe cube. But in the next moment, Long Fei's eyes were extremely disappointing. Grass. I thought it was a savvy lord. I didn't expect it to be a battle. Chapter 47:28. Chapter 47:28, a figure flies above the void, and a blue light flashes on the body. At this time, Long Fei discovered that the original power that was previously felt was born from this blue light. Okay, no, this is not really original. Just imitate the original power with energy. Ha ha ha. So to speak, is the real control of the original stone in the War League. Must get it. Long Fei picked up his heart. When I think of the horrible power contained in this original stone, Long Fei's heart is coveted. This kind of power, beyond the detachment method, can be said to be a force derived from the universe. Even in this battle alliance, the power of the cloned imitation cannot be underestimated. Take the person who is now appearing, relying on this power. It is directly comparable to the cultivation of Jinxian. Even if Xianyu is in front of this kind of power, if he does not display his own Buddha, he will not be able to hold it. Anu, kill him and leave the power in his mind. Long Fei shouted. Although the people who appear in the War League are not weak, but in front of the king of the cemetery, the difference is not a star and a half. Long Fei is really afraid that Anu will use a force to directly tear the people of this War League. At that time, even if you want to understand, there is no way. Reassure the owner, this will be destroyed. You want the power crystal in his mind. Wait for me to kill him. Anu said that the body of the Sphinx was alive. Immediately, the endless darkness turned into a long fork in his hand, and the long fork shook and slammed straight ahead. Boom! A violent, dark atmosphere erupted and drowned the people of the Super League. Hey! Through the darkness, I can still see that the man is constantly struggling. Under the hands of Anu, there is no resistance at all. I can only watch the long fork in the hands of Anu directly into my mind, and then take out the crystal. Boom! At this time, with the removal of this crystal, the people who were dispatched in the War Alliance were directly killed, turned into powder, and dissipated in the air. Roar! Anu roared. It is even more violent. At this time, the War Alliance headquarters. Terror! Terrible! Is this going to destroy our War League? Our Super of War is like an ant in front of this power. How strong is he? Is the Ancient really so invincible? One voice sounded. They are all members of the League of War. Originally, they had enough confidence and believed that Long Fei and others could not stand a blow when they dispatched Super God of War. Unexpectedly, it was not a minute before it was directly hit. Their Super of War was directly blasted. No, there are no invincible people. The group of people in that year was so powerful that it was not the same as the Avengers. The commander of the War Alliance said, "What? Do you want to use the power of the Avengers?" Some members open their mouths, and their faces are moving. No. You should know that the power we control can control at most some genetic warriors and control these super gods to fight for us. However, the group of Avengers is not something we can control. Yes, that would be the same as digging a grave. I refuse. I suggest that we can talk to each other and definitely not use the power of the Avengers. The voice of the commander of the War League has just fallen, and a group of parliamentarians immediately began to oppose it. It seems that they're extremely terrifying about the power of the Avengers. The commander of the War League can be slammed into a round table. What? Do you want us to bow? Let's bow our heads in front of the world. Furthermore, even if we want to bow, the other party will not be willing. You also saw that this is a disaster. The other party, with this kind of inhuman power, is advancing disasters for us. If we bow our heads, there is no other way than war. The commander of the War Alliance said. It was heard that everyone was silent. Come, recover the power of the Avengers. But before that, start all the gods. Get time for the return of the Avengers. Action. The commander of the War League said in a positive voice. This time, no one stopped. The next moment, the underground space was opened again. Then, people inside one glass container were loaded with blue crystals. Outside, Long Fei's hands are playing with this blue crystal. Fake is fake, although this energy is not weak, but not as pure as the original. Long Fei thought of it. There is no interest. However, this approach to the War League is equally shocking. The energy copied by this clone can actually stand on the top of the world, and even let them have the power to compare with the Golden Fairy. It is really incredible. If you don't return to the Earth yourself, fear that they can really dominate the world. Even Yin Shaoxi can't resist it. It's a pity that there is no such thing in the world. Since he has returned, all the fantasies of the War Alliance can only be broken. Hey! At this time, the figure of the road broke through and directly broke Long Fei's thoughts. All of them are crowded, floating above the sky, and there are thousands of them. Then the figure began to rampage. Anu was angry in his eyes and turned into an instant. Hey! Anu holds a long fork and kills dozens of shots. Countless dark creatures also erupted in the body and began to block snipers. However, there are too many creatures appearing in this War League. Even if Anu has the power to crush them, it is difficult to stop. In the twinkling of an eye, there are countless figures directly penetrating, surrounded by Long Fei and others. Long Fei brother. Xiao Yuer's face was a panic. The breadth and strength of these people are not weak, which makes her a little cautious. Reassure, take control of the chain snake. You will control the power of the penalty. Even if they are better than you, they are simply vulnerable. But this time you don't have to shoot. Long Fei said, step by step. directly bring out the king's blade. Then one fell out. Crazy dragon, town world. The dragon screamed with a sigh of relief and was invincible. And as the dragon's voice fell, a giant dragon suddenly roared out. The dragon's shadow flashed, and the people of the War League were directly crushed under the dragon body, and the power of the dragonfly directly cracked them. After Longfei swung the knife, he never shot. In the distance, Anu, in the battle, looked at the easy-to-free Longfei, and his heart was completely shrouded in fear. He knew that he made a correct decision. Even he once again thought of what Longfei said. That is, even if he is a dog, he is more noble than the gods. Before, he still didn't believe it, but at this moment this thought was rooted in his heart and was out of control. Chapter 47:29. Chapter 47:29. Hey. The dragon is still flying above the void. It is impossible for the forces of terror to annihilate some War Alliance fighters who have combined the power of cloning. Cut. Longfei's hand moved, and the long knife swooped down. Rumble. The mad dragon roared and roared, directly rushing to the super floating city of the War League. Boom, bang, bang. The mad dragon is extremely horrible, and the whole body is in full swing, and the dragon sweeps over. The huge impact broke out on the mad dragon, and the dragon passed, and everything turned into annihilation. Rumble. The floating city in the air began to collapse, and under the sweep of the dragon body, pieces of architecture fell from the void. Longfei figure is also followed, above the mad dragon, maintaining a dive posture. The airborne floating city of this War Alliance, under the power of Longfei, is simply unstoppable, but for a moment, it falls down layer by layer. In the twinkling of an eye, there's only the core area left. People in the War Alliance have also appeared in front of Longfei. At this time, Longfei stopped the attack, and the mad dragon disappeared. This is the War League. Longfei looked disdainful. Looking at the front is just a change of the gene. The power is stronger than the ordinary people, but it is comparable to the late riser. This kind of power, in front of Longfei, a batch of slag. You can kill one of your fingertips. Hey! At this time, above the War Alliance, the portal opened. A group of people came out directly. It's just their face looking at the dragon. Except for anger, it is pity. Yes, it is pity. Achow. Is there any card for this group of people? Longfei had a heart. There is no fear, but the disappointment that just emerged disappeared. Instead, it was a hope. What is the current alliance? What can make them have the confidence to face Longfei? Except for the power of the Rubik's Cube, nothing else. As soon as I read this, Longfei looked at the front with a positive color. Hey, the monkey of the East, you are dead, and you dare to provoke our alliance so much. Today you will know what is called destruction. Yes, it's too arrogant. We didn't attack you in the East, but you took the initiative to find it. This is a provocation against us. It's no good to be too arrogant. If you kneel down now, then hand over this monster to us. Let us dissect it. Maybe you can put your life. Members of the War Alliance have opened their mouths, and their expressions are faint. I'm Nima. Is it wrong? Your soldiers are under my master's hands, and they're wiped clean and dare to be arrogant? Longfei hasn't spoken yet, and Anu can't stand it. Directly open the ramp. I saw the horror of Longfei, and now he has peace of mind to be a dog. Moreover, even after getting used to this identity role, Longfei is now threatened and naturally jumps out. A person who is not a ghost or a ghost can be considered as a god. It is a joke to worship a dog at the foot of an Oriental person. It's better to be our guinea pig. Let us dissect, extract your genes, and create more powerful ones. What god, a dog? Everyone said again. The words of Anu are not at all in mind. A voice full of irritating words, like a long knife, split in the heart of Anu. He is God. Even the dog that made Longfei is still God. Moreover, it is the Supreme who has experienced the battle of the gods of the ancient times. How could this insult? Let's go. I am on the top. You dare to insult me. Anu is unstoppable. The darkness of the body is swaying, but his voice is not yet fallen. a figure suddenly rushed out of the War Alliance base. It is Long Fei, and they have not captured this figure. Hey, the speed is fast, completely beyond the ordinary practice. Long Fei's heart suddenly moved and followed the emptiness of the void. I saw that a green light and shadow is quickly disappearing into the sky. I am Chao. Long Fei suddenly trembled in his heart. This figure, too special, is familiar. What is that? Xian Yu slammed openly, and with her cultivation, she did not see through. Is it the backbone of the War Alliance? I can only see that it is a group of green, and nothing else can be seen clearly. Xuanzang also said, her cultivation is already the pinnacle of Tai Jingxian. That's it. I can't see the figure flying out of the War League. As for Xiao Yuer, it is even more powerful. The sly expression was completely natural and let Long Fei see that he liked something in his heart. But this expression also contains some kind of disappointment. It seems that this level cannot help Long Fei, but also makes his heart extremely uncomfortable. You are right. If I have not guessed wrong, these forces are not part of the War Alliance. They are self-organized. Long Fei said, this figure, he is not stranger at all. From the initial infinite gloves, in control of invincible means, the heart has some understanding of the characters in the Marvel, and even almost obsessed. Now that I have come to this War League, Long Fei's heart is also the idea of playing. It has already been disappointing, and the attitude of the War Alliance has revived hope in Long Fei's heart. Now that I saw this figure, Long Fei's heart was relieved. All his expectations have not failed. These people really exist, and since these people exist, the power they desire will be there. In the thought of this, Long Fei's heart instantly ignited a raging fight. At this time, Anu also clearly felt the dangerous atmosphere. The whole body is more intense, except that the human face is still outside. The whole person is wrapped in darkness. The look has also become extremely cautious. Master, be careful. Anu said. He knows that Long Fei is outrageous. But as a running dog under the dragon-flying gate, this is his duty. Yes, wait for his voice to fall. The disappearing figure went back. Facing Anu's body is a fierce collision. Hey! After a loud noise, Anu's body was directly hit by the green light and shadow and disappeared in front of everyone. Rumble. In the distance, a roar appeared. I saw that Anu's body was directly hit by the green shadow on the ground and directly pulled out a 100-meter deep pit. For a moment, the breath of Anu became a bit wilted. Even if his body is like a god, it has carried thousands of years of death, and under this huge impact, is still seriously injured. Ah, Lao Tzu wants to tear you. You are a humble blasphemy. Give me death. Anu's roaring continually. The long fork in his hand slammed and stabbed directly on his body. At this moment, the green shadow flashed directly. Grasping Anu directly is a fierce fall. Hey! Anu is under the green figure, just like a mortal, with no resistance, and is hit by the green shadow. Rumble. The earth is deep and cracked, and countless crumbs and flying stones are stirred up. Poor God. The green figure looked at Anu with pity and indifference. Chapter 4730. Chapter 4730. Long Fei looked calmly in front of his eyes, but he was already excited. Hulk. Yes, this is the Hulk, an explosive muscle with a horrible breath, exactly in line with the Hulk in memory. However, Long Fei did not expect that the Hulk would have such a terrible force. Even the of a cemetery in the Tai Jingxian Peak can be beaten. Of course, this does not mean that the slave is weak. It can only be said that this is the case. Big bad guys, what power does this big guy have? Why do you feel his flesh? Even my sword Lotus can't be worn. Xuan Yu sucked in a cold air, and the throat was full of shock. Between this day, the first is Anu, and now it is Hulk, has already washed his 3 views. Anu is better, although the power is relatively dark, but it is also the strength of cultivation. But Hulk, that is the real mortal body. There is no spiritual change in the body. But this kind of existence has made her feel unmatched. Long Fei laughed, and said nothing. This kind of thing is too difficult to explain. Even if it is said, they may not understand. Tell them about genetic warriors? Will they be quantum mechanics? It is tantamount to teaching a spell to a mortal. They simply can't understand. Moreover, regarding the Avengers, there are also many unknown places in Long Fei's mind. Can only say that they are a group of freaks. Whether it is the U.S. team or Hulk, it is a sudden change in the body to become a superhero. As for the Black Widow and the Eagle Eye, although there are not many introductions and strengths, but it should be mortal. At most, the combat power is extraordinary, but this is the case, still showing a good fighting power in the complex. However, this power is not enough to make Long Fei move. What really makes Long Fei feel the expectation is the power of infinite rough. Only that kind of power is enough to make Long Fei go further. As for the people of Fulian, although Long Fei has the mind to receive them from the Special Army, now, just a Hulk is not enough to make Long Fei be too excited. As soon as I read this, Long Fei's figure fell directly and came to the top of the Super League. Hulk, the Avengers? Is this your card? Long Fei mouth smirked. Not cold, but disdain. The reunion may not be weak, but that is also the reunion of the year. What about today? The U.S. team is gone, Iron Man is gone, the Widow is gone, and Raytheon is gone. With that left, Hulk and Blush can get it. But with these two people, it is impossible to threaten themselves. Hurricane. Kid, do you know how many powerful creatures from the universe have been reunited? Do you think you can have something to end? There are all the gods that have been killed. You think that you can escape a death? Impossible. Any who wants to endanger the survival of the Earth will die under the link of the Union. The members of the War League said coldly, and their faces were high-spirited. As if the reunion came out, the result was already doomed. God? The who killed Lao Tzu did not have 100,000 or 8,000. If the reunion is a heyday, maybe I'm interested in just being with you. But now, how many are there in the reunion? Who can stop Lousy from a knife? Long Fei sneered disdain. The voice can't be dropped. The green figure below moved again. Violent. The figure flashed and rushed directly to Long Fei. Master is careful. Anu also snorted. It is also full of anger. Thinking that he was so fat in front of Long Fei, and without the slightest effort to regain his hand, he had a sense of ultimate humiliation in his heart. In particular, Hulk's last poor god gave him all the superiority in his heart and stepped on the ground. Now, Hulk is aiming at Long Fei, and as the dog running under the dragon's door, the first reaction is that if he can't show his own value, then there is no qualification for even a dog. For a moment, Anu moved, and the Sphinx slammed into the sky and rushed from the deep pit, trying to block Hulk. However, Hulk is too fast. Under the influence of huge power, it only took 1/100th of a second to directly rush to the front of Long Fei. Hey! Hulk punched out and landed directly on Long Fei. Definitely, the Hulk's power is relatively complete in these years, and the power of the original stone has changed the genes in the body. It is now more violent than before. We have already analyzed, the Hulk is now punching, can blow our super battleship, can blow a small satellite. Even if the giants who want to destroy the Earth cannot stop the giant punch, hey, I'm taking it for myself. I dare to take my War League as a soft persimmon. In the War League, everyone in this moment burst into the light. It's incredibly fast. They have already determined that Long Fei is under this boxing and must die without a place of burial. No. On the other side, Xiao Yuer was also exclaimed. If you can't make it, you want to rush out. Then, it is even more straight out of the chain snake. Want to rest Hulk. But at this time, an arrow directly breaks through the void, directly hitting the chain snake's soft sword. Hey! Xiao Yuer was caught off guard, and the chain snake in the hand was attacked by this force, and the whole person was rolled out. Xuanzang is also a panic in his eyes, and he and the Jade one after the other, while the sword. Similarly, there is a resurgence of people in the void. A shield runs directly through the void and directly bombards the sword. The sword was sharp and was actually blown away by the shield. On the other hand, it is a red power group. This power directly imprisons the power of Xianyu, making Xianyu unable to break free. The same is true of Anu's side. Just rushing out of the sky, above the void, he came down directly to a group of lightning, and he threw him down. For a time, everyone's attacks were stranded, and they could only watch the Hulk and slammed into the dragon. On the other side of Longfei, there is still no wave in the eyes. Only when the blush wire and the thunder appeared, there was a slight fluctuation. After that, there is no change at all, until Hulk's punch fell directly to the dragon in less than a centimeter. Longfei finally moved. Too slow. Your strength is good enough to kill the repairers of the Tai Jingxian level. For me, it's still not enough. Invincible punch out. Longfei's lips whispered, and then, in the horrified eyes of Hulk, he directly punched a punch and touched Hulk. Rumble, rumble. The sky roared, the darkness fell, and under the fist of Longfei, it returned to calm. Chapter 47:31. Chapter 47:31. This punch is extremely horrible and shocks the sky. Everyone was stunned, and even the movements in his hand stopped. Even the aftermath of this power made everyone feel unable to resist and evaded. In an instant, above the entire void, there is only one person left. At this time, Longfei is like the only master between the heavens and the earth. As for Hulk, it has been smashed out of the void by Longfei. Even if you don't die, you are afraid that there will be only half-life. Hey, this moment, a few figures are also gone. The direction is the direction in which Hulk disappears. Then, Longfei's eyes turned and looked at the people of the War Alliance. If the Avengers are your arrogant capital, so sorry, your arrogant capital is not enough. And Lao Tzu is the you can't afford. Longfei said coldly, sarcasm. In the course of the reunion, all disasters, all alien powerful creatures, in their eyes, claim to be gods. So now, in the eyes of them, Longfei is God. Between them, they can dominate their lives. Oh, you don't care too early. In history, the Avengers are not without losers, but the ultimate victory must belong to the Avengers. What if you can force the Hulk back? Don't forget, the Avengers are an alliance, not a mere one. Our War Alliance is undefeated, and all the enemies of the War Alliance will become the fly ash of history. Members of the War Alliance said coldly. Oh, Longfei sneered. Not allowed. Some people are like this. Don't hit the South and don't give up. He has exerted absolute power to crush the Avengers. But this is the case, and he has not let the people of this group of war leagues see the reality. Well, since you feel that there is still hope, let you see clearly what is despair. Longfei's voice sank, and immediately the figure jerked. The blade of the kings once again waved out from the hands. Brush. Even the skills have never been displayed. It is a simple knife. But Longfei knows the horror of his knife. Not to mention a War Alliance, even if the sky can smash a hole. Boom. The knife light cut through the sky and swayed. The knives of the tens of thousands of people are like the smoldering of the stars from outside the earth, full of ruin. It can be foreseen that if this knife is left behind, the entire War Alliance will be turned into nothing. This moment, the entire War League is in an endless panic. This is an endless knife for them. It is a reminder. Especially now, this knife, under the control of Longfei, is extremely slow to land, because Longfei is waiting for these revenge to return. Or to say, the people of these war leagues are truly desperate. Only then will the power of the infinite roughs really surface. Marvelous characters can appear in this world, and they are somewhat ridiculous. But because this kind of power really appeared in the system, Longfei's mind also determined that there must be information about that power above the earth. For example, before, the super warriors touched by the War League already had the power to imitate the cloned Rubik's Cube. What is Rubik's Cube? That is the way in which the original stone of power exists. In other words, the current War Alliance at least control the Hydra or the Universe Rubik's Cube. Only in this way can they imitate the power of the Rubik's Cube and provide them with genetic variants. Now, the Avengers are their cuddling. As long as there is hope, they will not use that power. What Long Fei has to do is to completely destroy their hopes. Boom! Knife Mang continued to sink, and the roar of the roar has already smashed the Earth's atmosphere. Oh la la la! The atmosphere is directly penetrated, and the incomparably heavy breath is suppressed and full of the power of destruction. God, what is this power? What about the Avengers? Where did the Avengers go? Damn, start the full defense system quickly. For a time, several members of the Super League have begun to riot. The power of this knife directly brought them the impact of death. They have already predicted that if this knife is down, the entire War Alliance will be destroyed. No, after the strength analysis, the defense system can't hold back. Now I can only count on the Avengers. This power, only the Avengers can hold it. Retreat, fast synthesizer run. Numerous noisy sounds appear directly. Then, these members, and even the commanders of the War Alliance, directly launch their mech devices. Hey. In an instant, everyone is all incarnation, and they are flying away in the blink of an eye. In the air, the dragon flies. I am Nima. Iron Man is gone? Is there a national armor? At this moment, Long Fei felt quite speechless in his heart. Those things that have not been realized in the reunion cannot be realized in this era and become a reality. And everyone wearing the mech, the speed is more than a few times in a flash. Just for a moment, have vacated, want to fly out of the long knife attack range. Want to run, let alone you? Even if Iron Man is here, you have to give me slag. Long Fei eyes condensed. At this time, how can I let them go? These people are still recalcitrant, and the power of the infinite rough has never been revealed. How can Long Fei let go? The power of eternal life, forbidden. The dragon and the dragon slammed together, and the light of eternal life erupted from the scorpion, and the eyes looked at it. The force of eternal life directly formed an invisible ray in the void. The rays intertwine with each other and form an invisible barrier, painting the ground for the prison. Needless to say, the power of eternal life is not to say that these mechs, even if it is the tyrant, Long Fei also has the confidence to imprison the other side in this world. Hey! At this time, many mechs directly hit the forbidden circle that was solidified by the force of eternal life and directly bounced back. No, is this a gamma ray? No, this power is even more terrifying than the gamma ray. What power is this? Oh, my mech has melted, and the mech can't bear this power. God, is it really God? How could there be such a terrible, destructive power? The people of the War Alliance once again fell into despair. They, self-righteous cards, at this moment, completely ineffective. At this time, the knife of the king's blade has been infinitely depressed, and the barrier set by Long Fei is not too far away. Yes, at this time, a red silk thread directly twisted the void. This power is extraordinary and difficult to ponder. The dragon blade of the Dragon King was intercepted, making it a slap in the face and staying on the void. In the eyes of Long Fei, he turned around and saw that the blushing which had penetrated the power of eternal life and fixed the knife of the king's blade to the void. Twisted reality? Long Fei's sounds sinking. There's also a glimmer of light in the eyes. At the same time, a voice appeared in the mind of Long Fei. Hey, congratulations to the player to trigger the system task, become a revenge object, and collect the Avengers. Chapter 4732. Chapter 4732, Long Fei's heart sank and suddenly settled above the void. The system task came too suddenly. When he saw Wanda's shot, his heart had already shaken. For this power, it has been tempted. Unexpectedly, it actually triggered the system task. Become a revenge object. So, when am I going to be a villain? Long Fei's heart moved. Think of the Fulian Quartet, Rocky, Austrian, and tyrants, once stronger than once. I never thought about it. Today, I actually turn myself. Hey, mission requirements. A consensus between the player and the Avengers. Task level, S level. Task time, 1 hour. Task reward, infinite rough position coordinates. Task penalty, the level is weakened first. The system sounds appear again and again. This time, Longfei's heart is even more moving. An unexpectedly triggered task would be so harsh. Although I don't think it is better than the previous mainline tasks, this time, it is rewarding and the punishment is equally severe. The power of the infinite rough is extremely terrifying. It is a collection of 6, and a single finger can wipe out half of the universe. This kind of power, even if it is the strongest means of Longfei's display, it is impossible. Not to mention that Longfei, even if it is the Dragon King in the peak state, it is impossible to do this. It can be seen that the power of infinite rough is terrible. So, don't say anything else, just this reward. Longfei has been extremely tempted. Another point is that this task is also punished, and it is also forcing Longfei to go all out. Because now, Jioding is one, the mythical world is about to come, and the two worlds are interoperable. At that time, countless strong players will spring up and swarm. With the current strength of Longfei, there is no fear. However, if you weaken a class, it means that Longfei's cultivation will retreat to ancient power. At that time, don't say it is a saint, even if you just want a big Luo Jinxian. You can have a life of Longfei. Therefore, this is also doomed. Longfei must be taken seriously and go all out. Achieve consensus? This is a bit of slap. I am now the object of revenge, the person they want to avenge. How can I reach a consensus? Do you want Lousy to stand still and let a few people take turns? Longfei saw the task requirements, and his heart was speechless. And obviously, the system won't say more than one word. Mom, wait for the system girl to come out sooner or later and completely control the system. To the supreme plane, find the designer. See the old man let the pain do not want to live. Longfei heart whispered a word, looked up at the blush witch. To be honest, the power of the blush, which is terrible. Not to mention the fourth of the reunion, it is already the existence of a single-handedly tyrant. In Marvel's original second surgery, it was a real fierce person. In one sentence, the superpowered person was sharply reduced, and one hand was a violent tyrant. This kind of existence makes Longfei somewhat aggressive. Then, in the heart of Longfei's heart, between the waves, the knife of the king's blade was dissipated. The blushing which retreated to the side and looked at Longfei with a cautious look. Among the eyes, they are full of hostility. Obviously, now they have used Dragonfly as an enemy. Longfei soothes a sigh of relief and looks at the blushing witch. I didn't want to use any power to destroy the universe, nor did I ever think that there would be no Earth. What I want to do is to destroy the War Alliance. Longfei said true and false. Among the system tasks, it is not directly said that it must be eliminated. It's just enough to suppress the East's spiritual world and stand on the top of the world. But now, seeing the power of the current alliance, the desire to destroy in the heart of Longfei has been stimulated. It can be imagined that a group of genetic mutations in their own right, comparable to those in the late stage of the flight, and then put on the mech, the entire East cannot be blocked. Therefore, they must be destroyed. In the distance, Xianzong and others are all cautious. There are even some concerns. Because of the power of the blushing witch, they all feel terrible. Coupled with the changes in the attitude of Longfei, it is even more so that they feel that this power is enough to threaten Longfei. Yes, the Crimson, which does not speak at all. Longfei sighed and just wanted to continue to speak. A touch of green light suddenly came from a distance. Mom, it's not finished yet. The anger in Longfei's heart was also provoked. I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't think that the other party was not ruthless. Invincible punch. Between the backhands, Longfei quickly punches. Boom! Longfei banged out and collided with the oncoming Hulk again. Rumble. Under the punch, a roar broke out directly from the Hulk's mouth. It seems as if it is extremely painful now. With the roar and the caucus sound of the cracked bones appear at the same time, I saw that the entire arm of the Hulk was directly abolished after a punch with Longfei. This time, Long Fei took control of the power and did not fly the Hulk. In the next moment, Long Fei stepped out and went straight to the Hulk. He reached out and directly picked up the Hulk and slid it in the air. The physical strength of quantum changes? It is really abnormal. Long Fei said softly. At this point, he has seen through the source of the power of the Hulk, because the power of the Hulk is actually homologous to his creation. The ability to make changes in the quantum of matter can directly erupt the power of reciprocity according to specific circumstances. It can even be said that the current Hulk is not weak when it comes to this kind of physical strength in the eternal world. But of course, compared with the current Long Fei, the difference is very far. That's it, but it's enough to make Long Fei shocked. Now, can you talk about it? Long Fei held the collar of the Hulk in one hand and turned to the blushing witch, faintly said. At the same time, several figures appeared at the same time. It is the one among the Avengers. However, the U.S. team has changed, and the Hawkeye looks at Long Fei with a serious look. I can see it. You should be controlled by the War League, so you have to shoot. And my purpose is very simple. It is to destroy the War Alliance. In essence, we should be friends. Long Fei said. In this way, Long Fei is also extremely helpless. It can only be done for system tasks. What is the good talk with people like you? If you want to destroy the world, then you will inevitably become the enemy of our Avengers. And do you think you really won? Don't forget, the Avengers, not just a few of us. The blush witch said. Long Fei brows tight, just want to speak, but suddenly heard Xuanzang's reminder. Dragonfly, be careful. Xuanzang's voice just fell, and Long Fei's heart was not good. Then instinctively, directly turned and banged a punch. Hey! But at this moment, the endless lightning directly fell from the void and instantly drowned Long Fei. Then, a figure fell directly from the sky. Left hand quake, right hand thunder tomahawk. Are you able to bear this point? It is far worse than the tyranny of the year. Chapter 4733. Chapter 4733. Thunder is raging, and the force is directly bombarded. The entire thunder is aimed at, and is only Long Fei. For a time, the air was under the influence of this thunder force, and a light group was formed in the air. Dragonfly, Long Fei brother, bastard. The Xuanzang 3 people were screaming again, and they suddenly attacked the thunder center. At this time, above the void, a roar appeared. The host. It is Anu. Anu lion is a human face, but there is already a black magic blood falling from the body. Terror is incomparable. Master, as soon as this guy's lightning, this kind of lightning is not simple, is the thunder in the universe. Anu gasped. Obviously, it has already been a battle with the thunder. Moreover, the injury on his body was hurt by the power of the thunder god. However, there is no response. At this time, the 3 people of Xianzang have also quickly rushed to the ground, and they went to the center of the thunder whirlpool. The closer it is, the slower the action of the 3 people is directly isolated by an invisible force. How could this be? Long Fei. Xuanzang shouted, and there was no calm in the eyes. This endless thunder has already made her feel a sense of panic. Big bad guy. Xianyu is already filled with tears in his eyes. As for Xiao Yuer, it is already in a state of madness, and the chain snakes are constantly waving. Every time you swing, it will trigger a thunder. The power of the thunder was directly patted on Xiao Yuer's body, causing Xiao Yuer's body to fly directly out. Do not. Xiao Yuer's sharp voice is extremely painful, like the blood, the heart of the cone. And this pain is not the damage of this thunder, but because of the dragonfly. Ha! Useless. For so many years, I have long followed the amazement to travel around the universe, and the thunder has long since changed. Now, even if it is a tyrant, my thunder can also make him a layer of skin. Not to mention you. Raytheon laughed, and his hands still released endless thunder. As if with the power of the thunder, the dragon flew to the raw slag. Xuanzang 3 eyes looked at Raytheon with hatred. In particular, Xinyu and Xiao Yuer lost their senses and wanted to break into this thunder and help Longfei, but it was blocked by Xuanzang. We have to believe in the means of Longfei, and Longfei we can't imagine. If you can't help him, then we will wait quietly. Xuanzang said with a bite. If she can, she has long been like Xianyu, crazy national ball. But now this power has formed a whirlpool, and the huge resistance directly isolates everything. No one can get close except Raytheon. Even Xianzang's cultivation is not good. Moreover, there are still blushing witches, and that power is enough to make the move. But the most flustered is Anu. At this time, he does not believe in any way Longfei will be defeated by this power. Impossible, impossible. This kind of power can't kill me. How can I beat the master? This is absolutely impossible. The strength of the master is enough to compare the great emperor of the gods 2,000 years ago. How could it happen? It must not be true. At this moment, Anu also lost the square inch. Even the of the cemetery has become flustered. He had just escaped under the thunder of Raytheon and was already injured. But what he suffered was only a few thunders, which could not be compared to Longfei now, and was directly inundated by the Thunder Sea. Especially now, seeing the drowned dragonfly did not respond at all, but it was even more chaotic, and it was so flustered that even the words had lost its guidelines. On the side, the people of the War Alliance have already removed the mech. Ha ha ha! Raytheon is Raytheon, and it really is the strongest of the Avengers. When they come out, they have to finish playing. This is the power that the Avengers should have. Hey, people in the East, wait, this time you must retaliate. When these few people are dead, there is no strong in the East. When they're their last days. One by one, the Allied League members said in a haze, hoarse and pouting, apparently hated the bones of Longfei and others. At this time in this scene, in their view, Longfei has already died. Raytheon, he is ill and wants his life, continue to increase the power of the thunder, must leave them all here. At this time, the commander of the War League said, however, Raytheon is a cold cry. What are we going to do? It is not up to you to tell us. Remember, after this time, you have to return the Hydra to us. Otherwise, I don't mind letting you taste the thunder. Raytheon said coldly, and then his hands moved, quake and thunder tomahawk, two-way attack. Hey, it is an endless thunder and direct landing. Make the bottom, drowning the thunder of the dragonfly. The moment is even more violent. Dragonfly, Xianzang's eyes were tight, and Zhangko, who was not in love, said, this power makes her heart. Can't help but worry about getting up. Even if she trusts Longfei in her heart, it is difficult to suppress the emotions in her heart at this moment, and infinite worry and confusion will breed. As for Xiaoyuer and Xianyu, they have almost lost their senses. Crazy struggle. If it wasn't for Xuanzang, they had already been affected by the power of the thunder. As for the slave, it is like crazy. Ah, damn, the master of my cemetery is so destroyed by you. I want to kill you. Give me death. A new roar, crazy release of the power of darkness, countless dark creatures directly from their bodies. Since you are dying, let's die together. The sinister is on the scene. Give it to me. Anu squats, directly burns the power of God, uses his own body to support, uses his own blood as a nourishment, and repeatedly utters endless sorrowfulness, mummies. This time he is desperate. Because he knows that once the dragon flies out of the problem, even if he has a means of heaven, there is absolutely no life in the hands of this group of people. Similarly, the Avengers will never allow Anu to exist as a dark creature. Almost as soon as Anu was in a state of violent anger, the blush was shot and the hands were manipulated to control the Een, making Anu's violentness directly useless. All the power, all entangled by blush, did not cause any harm. At this time, the new U.S. team and the Eagle Eye, as well as some new Avengers at the same time, shot the Anu directly in the center. For a time, Anu directly fell into the crowd, and it was extremely difficult. However, none of them thought of it. At this time, in their thinking, Longfei, which had already been smashed into slag, was a face of enjoyment. A wipe, the system's sister, Dantian so swallowed it will not be swallowed? Long Fei asked with a nervous face. Chapter 4734. Chapter 4734, Thunder Center, Violet. All the thunders penetrate the body directly through the skin of Long Fei. However, this kind of power did not cause any harm to Long Fei, but was swallowed up by Dantian. Master, rest assured, your Dantian is tempered by the power of eternal life, not to mention the thunder. Even if it is the power of terror, it is impossible to cause damage to your Dantian. The System Sister said, but what I got was only the disdain of the System Sister. Master, you just have the roots of invincibility, the body of the avenue, the Dantian universe, and the power of eternal life. Every power is extremely horrible, and it is unique. But repair is the key. The System Sister said helplessly. Long Fei's old face screamed and grinned. I don't think of it. Raytheon's thunder is even interested in Dantian. Long Fei said the topic of transfer. Your own Dantian, you know, extremely picky. The general strength is simply indifferent. The last time was the power of the last law. This time it was the power of the thunder. Therefore, Long Fei is also very curious about this kind of thunder. Master, this power of thunder is not a pure kind of thunder. It should be the thunder force that contains multiple planets in the universe, and it has already mutated. And the owner's Dantian is now evolving in the universe, and this kind of thunder power can be used for its own sake. I believe it will take a long time for the Master to really mobilize the power of Dantian. At that time, even if it is the first-generation system, in front of the owner, it can only passively withstand, and there is no power to fight back. I really hope that this day will come soon. The System Sister is infinite. The same is true for Long Fei. This time, it was imprisoned by Dragon Heaven and used the power of the system to come to Earth. For Long Fei, it was also a thorn. He has never lived in this life. Long Batian's first-generation system was too much to suppress his system, and he could not break free. He even had no chance to give him a shot. In desperation, I can only come to the Earth and slowly. Nowadays, the System Sisters have also directly inspired the resentment of Long Fei, and they are expected to activate this power at an early date and then return to the ancient world. Yes, this day is not far away. But now, the power of this thunder is no longer useful to me. I can feel that what Dantian needs is just the breath of this thunder. Long Fei said. At this point, Dantian has also stopped eating. Even these thunders have only passed through his Dantian, leaving only a line. Long Fei guessed that those are the source of the thunder. And these are enough. Dantian needs only the breath of the thunder, used to become the original strength of the Dantian universe. After that, the dragon's body was shaken, and the force of the flesh was instantly paralyzed, creating a 3-level Kai. A heavy sigh. Boom. Long Fei's body suddenly changed, and the whole body burst into strength, directly forming an absolute field. It seems that King Kong is not bad, and the thunder is directly shielded from the outside. And Long Fei, tearing his hands directly from the center of this endless thunderbolt, tearing open a portal, and then stepped directly out. Then, with both hands moving, the natural fire burned from the hands, and finally, directly formed a sea of fire, directly wrapped the thunder. Super alchemy method. The highest realm can be reclaimed, not to mention the thunder. Countless thunders were compressed in the hands of Long Fei, and the light of the thunder was constantly flashing, but they could not escape the control of Long Fei. Only in a moment, countless thunder disappeared and condensed in the hands of Long Fei. Formed a thunder pill. Long Fei gently diverted his eyes and hovered the thunder in his hand. Raytheon? A good power. Even if it is a big Luo Jinxian, under this power, it has to be refined into ashes. But unfortunately, you met me. This time, Lao Tzu is a boss. If you finish playing this way, you're not too sorry for the audience. Long Fei looked at the Avengers in the void, faintly said. At this time, the emergence of Long Fei also completely disrupted the battle in the void. All the Avengers could barely stop the movements in their hands, gathered together, and looked at Long Fei with a look of defense. Dragonfly, Long Fei brother. Xian Zong Xian, you, three people exclaimed, crying with joy. The hatred and anger on the face disappeared, and instead it was a touch of excitement. Reassured, people who can kill me have not yet been born. You have to have confidence in your own man if you can't solve this problem. How can I be qualified to be your man? Long Fei said, talk about it. Of course, it could be considered to ease the atmosphere. The three women, under the words of Long Fei, all bowed their heads and looked shy. The host, Anu, dragged the injured body close to him. Well done. The thing's here. You have already done it, and you will be with me with peace of mind. If I have said what Long Fei has said, it will naturally be honored. One day, you will be with me above the gods. Long Fei said, throwing the thunder in his hand directly to Anu. This thunder pill contains the power of thunder. After you swallow it, even if it is a powerful thunder in the future, it will not suppress you. Long Fei continued, because Anu is the of the cemetery. It is a dark god. In this world, not to mention the Dharma, together with the power to the sun, has suppressed it. As for the thunder, let alone the nemesis of all evil spirits. And Long Fei refining this thunder pill is to let Anu get rid of this restriction. It is like tempering. As long as Anu can integrate the power of this thunder pill into the body, then in the future, the power of thunder will be useless to him, and even other forces that are just to the sun will suppress his suppression. As a result of this change, Anu's combat power will be even stronger. Thank you for your master. Anu has long known that this power is hard to live with. The original owner is doing alchemy for me. Anu's life is the master in the future. The master told me to kill God. I will never let go. The master told me to take the eggs. I will kill the chicken first. Anu is excited and turns on the gratitude mode. Long Fei directly waved his hand and let him shut up. Otherwise, I don't know what this chatter is going to be. The next moment, Long Fei looked at Raytheon and others. Let's say, who else do you want to shoot? I picked it up. I am not a tyrant. But I am more terrible than the tyrant, Long Fei said. The conversation is no longer possible. Today, the only way is to win the other party. Only by letting the Avengers lose the power of revenge can they be conquered. For a time, all the Avengers had a horrible expression on their faces. How? No one is doing it. Since no one is doing it, then I will listen to it. Submit to me. I will take you to kill the real God. Long Fei silently opened, domineering, and the momentum is unparalleled. Chapter 4735. Chapter 4735. For the first time, I became a villain. For Long Fei, how to be natural, how to play. Among the Avengers series, movie and film, the power of the Avengers is not so strong, and they can really get the hand, that is, the Hulk and Raytheon, and of course Iron Man. It was only later that there was a wish. As for the Captain of Surprise, although the appearance of the game is very high, but the lens is really rare and even did not shoot. But looking at each other alone, taking advantage of the airship to leap from a universe tens of millions of light years back to Earth, this strength can be seen. Especially now that I have seen the power of several people, Long Fei's heart has also produced expectations. Their own special army, this is to prepare for them. How to do it now? How to get approval from a few people. The Avengers are completely a group of creatures that are not afraid of death. They are all a group of madmen. The reunion has made several songs and has never seen any Avenger surrender. Therefore, it is unrealistic to want to suppress the other party by absolute force and let the other party surrender. It is because of this Long Fei now throws a primer directly. That is, there's a real God in this world. God? Superman like you? Raytheon looked disdainful. Because Raytheon is the same, the person who professes to be a domain has always been God. Therefore, when I heard Long Fei's words at the moment, there was no movement at all, and I did not agree at all. The same is true of other Avengers. After listening to Long Fei's words, there is no movement, and some are just indifference and hatred. There is no in this world, but it is extremely powerful. But if it is strong, as long as you want to crisis the earth, it will become our object of revenge. Yes, as you are now. You are our object of revenge. Don't think that you are now free from the power of Raytheon, and you are qualified to be arrogant in front of us. Avenger won't fail. The blush leads, and then several Avengers say at the same time, a face of the same enemy. Really position Long Fei's position in a heinous demon. And Long Fei, but a chuckle. Don't take yourself seriously, let alone me, the gods in my mouth, pick one out, no weaker than the cemetery. If the world attacked, it couldn't hold it here, and the earth couldn't stop it. You can't help it either. Long Fei said. However, these words are not alarmist, although some exaggeration, but it is not impossible. Now that Jioding is one, the mythical world must be interoperable. The gods of the gods will certainly not let go of the power of the incense of faith on earth. Although Long Fei does not care about those, it will not ignore it. After all, the people of Long Fei and the mythical world have long been invincible. After all, Long Fei is a man who wants to repeat the myth and naturally wants to destroy the original mythical world. This is the goal and the task. In this, Kiakia is also used at this time, persuading the Avengers, the most appropriate. You have a mouth, how do you say it? Why don't you say that today is the end of the world? Even if it is the end of the world, today we will never let you succeed. Anyone who wants to get an infinite stone will be the object of revenge of our Avengers. Raytheon shouted loudly, and the endless thunder was once again accumulated from the hands of the thunder. But this time, Long Fei simply did not give him a chance to shoot. Just in the moment when the thunder is about to fall, Long Fei's figure flashed and disappeared directly. Then, a shadow, a flash of lightning, appeared in front of Raytheon, and then his hand shook. Hey! The quake and thunder tomahawks fell off their hands directly from Thor. And Long Fei, his hands explored, holding two artifacts in his hands. This scene is even more shocking to everyone, including Raytheon. Quake's hammer, Thunder Tomahawk, has always been exclusive to Raytheon. Especially after the Reunion 3, Raytheon resacred the two weapons. It will not appear again at all, and it will be controlled by others. But now, Long Fei has two weapons in his hands, and he is free to play. There's no pressure at all. It's too rough. It seems that all the power in the universe is not as strong as the practice. Long Fei looked at the Thunder Hammer and Thunder Tomahawk in his hand, and his eyes flashed a contempt. At the same time, the already destroyed universe of the galaxy, a planet dedicated to refining weapons, flashed through the mind. I still had some expectations in my heart, but now I have no interest at all. Not to mention that it has now become a ruin. Even if the refining method that is now in control, forged between them, is even more fierce than the hammer of Thor. One thought of this, Long Fei thought of a move. Exactly, recultivating the soldiers of Raytheon, maybe it is a good start. Just do it. Long Fei's hands move, the heavens and the earth are furnaces, and naturally they are fire. Reconsecrate the Thor and Thunder Tomahawk directly. Do not. Raytheon panicked. He is called Raytheon, and the bigger capital is the Hammer of Quake. Now, if it is destroyed by Long Fei, he will be completely scrapped. It's like Iron Man who didn't have steel armor at the beginning, no fighting. For a time, Raytheon's entire human form was crazy, desperate to rush. But at this time, the blush which was a step forward and intercepted Raytheon behind him. No, he is not destroying the Quake, but recultivating. The blush which said, Raytheon screamed and immediately exclaimed, Recultivation? Impossible. We are the Avengers. He is our object of revenge. How can he sacrifice the Hammer of Quake? Raytheon looked confused, but his expression has sold out everything. Because he is Raytheon, it is natural to be able to perceive the changes in Quake and Thunder Tomahawk in some way. At this time, Long Fei has begun to finish. Hey! When the last touch of natural fire disappeared, the two hammers of Thor, which flashed with electric light, reappeared in the hands of Long Fei. This is what it looks like. Long Fei is extremely satisfied. This time, it is just using the fire of nature to temper and remove the impurities in the hammer of Quake. Originally, the material of Quake's hammer was already the ultimate, that is, Long Fei, and now there is no magic material that can match this material. It was only the original refining technique. Although it was unique, the power of the dwarfs could not eliminate the alternative attributes in this figure. Only when the natural fire of Long Fei was burning was it really clean. Look at Raytheon. Your eyes are already watching the hammer of Thor, and you look forward to it. He can feel that the current Quake and Thunder Tomahawks are the real sharps suspended in the air, and there's already the power to destroy the earth. Is this the hammer of Quake? Chapter 4736. Chapter 4736, it's Raytheon, and it's all shocking. The previous Quake, compared with the present, is not a level at all. This is the hammer of Quake, but the cosmic impurities inside have been removed by me, and already burned out of Lei Ling. Now Quake only recognize you. Long Fei said, of course, Quake's hammer is his refining. He controls it, and naturally it is like an arm. It is easy and natural. And Raytheon, at this moment, hesitated. He does not believe that Long Fei will be so kind. You will be so kind? You know, we are now standing in the opposite camp. You give me a cultivating weapon. I'm not afraid that I will deal with you. Raytheon said quietly, although I am now your object of revenge, your power cannot be said to me at all. Moreover, I did not want to destroy the earth, or to destroy the universe. Long Fei said faintly, in the short term, the purpose of Long Fei is very simple. It is to destroy the power of the War Alliance, and must maintain the absolute posture of the Oriental Practice Circle. And further, it is the power of infinite rough. Of course, Long Fei is not in the original stone, nor is it to destroy half of the universe like the tyrant. It is simply to gain this power. Because Long Fei knows clearly that the universe is vast, it is definitely not just a few galaxies. According to the complex, at least no cultivation of civilization is involved. Of course, it is also possible that in that country, there has never been a practice of civilization. Any power, in their eyes, is nothing but energy. However, this does not mean that it does not exist. No, power is ambition. When you have absolute power, you will have the ambition to think about it. If you get the power of the universe's Rubik's Cube, you will inevitably embark on the road of tyranny, and you will be interested in another rough stone. At the time, all results are inevitable. Yin Hong said that in the face of Long Fei, it is still a cautious look. In the reunion, the blush has always been the one that has exploded. The real people don't talk much. The tyrant of the tyrants had allowed Raytheon and others to be helpless, but blushing a big move directly put down One Piece. In the end, it shows the terrorist power of single-handedly killing the tyrant. Therefore, since then, in the reunion, the Red is in control of the absolute right to speak, even above Raytheon. When a few people heard the blush, their face changed suddenly. It was Raytheon, and it was also a look at the dragonfly. The eyes of Long Fei are shining. Are you really absolutely the power of the original stone, invincible? Long Fei sneered. Immediately and silently, the pressure is coming directly. The blushing, which is also an instant shot, and the force of the magnetic force bursts in the hands. Chaotic magic twisted, the blushing which faced the dragon and slammed. In a flash, Long Fei only felt an inexplicable force, and even wanted to distort his soul and wipe himself from the source. Moreover, this kind of power can even ignore his will, and the power of the power has no effect in front of this power. It is conceivable that if this power is strong enough, it can penetrate the soul. In a person, once the soul is annihilated, then even if there is a means of heaven, there is only one way to die. At this time, Long Fei did not hesitate anymore. System Sister start. The eternal life start. At the time of the crisis, Long Fei didn't have time to think about it. The soul is his root and must be protected. Otherwise, once it is immersed in the power of blush, even if it is not dead, it will definitely fall into crisis. At this time, with the sound of Long Fei, the system's sister directly starts the protection, adding a layer of protection on the soul of Long Fei. Master, this power can actually distort reality, and the system has never controlled this power. The voice of the system's sister appeared, with a bit of surprise. But at the same time, the power of the system is applied to the soul of Long Fei. Hey! A twisted red silk thread pierces the dragon's eyebrows and wants to penetrate the soul, but as soon as it enters the dragon's body, it is directly intercepted by the system. At the same time, in the depths of Long Fei's soul, the power of eternal life is also washed away. You must know that Long Fei at this time is already the soul of eternal life. Although you can't really control the eternal life, you can already use the power of eternal life. Oh la la la. The power of eternal life is incomparably powerful, and the momentum of the ravages of the heavens is directly radiated out of the eternal life. At this moment, the silk thread of the blush, like the encounter with natural enemies, instantly slammed into the air and directly annihilated in the sea of Long Fei. Boom! Outside, the body of the blush which also flew out at once. The whole person is directly lost. No, what is that? How can you have such a terrible power? The blushing which swayed her head madly and could not keep calm. It seems to be a general picture of what a horrible picture. And Long Fei also looked at the crimson, which with an unexpected look, "Can you perceive my strength?" Long Fei asked. To know that those forces are acting on the soul of Long Fei, and they are not revealed. That's it. It's enough to scare the blushing witch. In other words, the blush which can perceive something through her own power. The blushing which looks at Long Fei, and the uncontrollable expression in her eyes shows the expression of fear. This scene, falling into the eyes of other Avengers, is also tense. At least, in their eyes, they have never seen a blushing witch so lost. What are you? That kind of power is even more terrifying than the power of the original stone. The blush which stood up, and his eyes fixed on Long Fei, he said heavily. And Long Fei is also a glimpse. Is it the eternal life, or the system, more powerful than the original power of the universe? Long Fei's heart is puzzled, because whether it is the eternal life, or the system power, in the eyes of Long Fei, it is the ultimate, beyond the universe, the power of two super behemoths. Perhaps there is nothing to be able to grow no weaker than the original stone. But now, seeing the expression of the blushing witch, Long Fei's heart is also a move. The opportunity is coming. In my heart, Long Fei directly said, "Since you can perceive my strength, you should understand that if I want to destroy the universe, I don't need any rough. Of course, there is no interest in destroying the universe. But soon after, there will be a passage for the world to be opened, but those people are not necessarily. They need the power of the world to serve them. Maybe they will be interested in the power of the original stone." Long Fei said faintly, "Whether it is Raytheon, or Blush, or a series of Avengers, this moment, all straightened their eyes and looked at Long Fei. Long Fei is not too slow, stepping forward. And you want to stop, there's only one step to go. That is, surrender to me. Let these gods become our object of revenge." Long Fei quietly said that he did not change his voice and completed his self-identity conversion. From the revenge boss of the Avengers, the transition directly to the party of the Avengers. Chapter 4737. Chapter 4737, Oriental Practice, Yuzhou. Liu also did his best and did not dare to slack off the words of Long Fei. The whole person stared at Jiuding in front of him, and because he was there, no one came forward and did not approach. This comet is really inseparable. It seems that it is impossible to get close to Ding. Go to your horse, Enlightenment. Do you want to take the opportunity to take the Ding Ding? Oh, it's as if you don't want to be the same. You or each other. Countless hidden people nearby, stopped a few miles away from Ding Ding. All eyes are greedy. If it is not the shock of Liu, I am afraid that someone has already shot. But Liu is alone, enough to withstand the army. The big man has to be off, and the gesture of Wanfu is open. According to the current trend, it will take 3 days for the entire Ding Ding to be completely integrated. The single giant tripod is already invincible. Now that Jioding is won, who else is their opponent? I really don't know where this is a group of fierce people. Even the Xianmeng has been defeated. It seems that the Ding Ding must be right and wrong. A group of faint voices reappeared, full of unwillingness. But now, they only dare to be too small. In the face of absolute strength, their desires and ambitions can only be deeply buried in the bottom of my heart. However, no one noticed that a black breath was spreading silently to their feet and swept away in the direction of Ding Ding. Of course, it's Liu, and I don't feel anything. Moreover, Liu will not think of it at all, and some people will play the idea of Ding Ding at this festival. At this time, before the War League, the vengeances are silent one by one, especially the Raytheon and the Scarlet Witch. The only perception of other people is that Lone Fei is very powerful, but Raytheon is not the same as Blush. The change of Quake's hammer, Raytheon is in the eye, and Lone Fei can come out in the endless thunder, and has already shown that he has the strength that he can't compete with. As for the Blush, in the moment of entering the dragonfly eyebrows on his own blush line, after touching the kind of power, he has thoroughly understood that Lone Fei is not what they can handle. Even she can feel that if Lone Fei thinks, she does not need that kind of power and can annihilate them. Or if Lone Fei starts to shoot at the beginning, then now, there is no such thing as them, and there will be no chance of even playing. How about it? To surrender to me, I will take you to kill God. Or say goodbye to this. But the War Alliance is still going to die. Lone Fei said, it is equal to the last ultimatum. But he believes that after seeing the eternal life and the power of the system, he will no longer regard himself as the object of revenge. After all, they don't have that qualification and continue to revenge. You really didn't think about destroying the universe with the power of rough? The Blush Witch said, I never thought about it. However, I will get the infinite rough, but it will not destroy the earth. On the contrary, I will use this power to bless the earth. And what I need is just that kind of power. Lone Fei said calmly. For these, Lone Fei does not want to hide, and there is no need to hide it. This time, the reaction between Raytheon and Blush is not so strong. It seems as though I have seen the strength of Lone Fei. Everything is also a matter of course. How do you prove that you are right? Is there really someone from another world who wants to destroy the earth? Or, follow you can stop their steps? The Blush Witch asked. Look out. The Blush Witch is guarding the earth. Just like a mission, even now, there is still some doubt. Yes, even if you have such power and do not destroy the mind of the earth, then by what can you prove that what you said is true? Raytheon asked. Lone Fei's expression remained the same, but his eyes looked up slightly and looked at Qingming. Then, in a deep breath, said, because I want to create above them. Their legends are destined to be annihilated. Lone Fei said with both hands and said indifferently. After that, a sense of loneliness, which emerged from the body of Lone Fei, is like a peerless independence, but it reveals the perseverance of the past and insists on it. The only thing in the world. I am supreme, as true invincible. Everything in his eyes is the one who is in sight and is vulnerable. For a moment, even the Blush Witch and other people are immersed in this momentum. Between the hustle and bustle, they only felt that the dragon flying in front of them became extremely sturdy, like the top of the sky. This is an invisible oppression. The foundation of Lone Fei is too deep, unique between heaven and earth. At this time, saying this above the top of the sky, there is no sense of violation, but some fit the power of eternal life and the power of the system. At this time, the body momentum is placed outside the invisible. Good. In the distance, Xianyu exclaimed. Yeah, I feel that there is no such person in the world. Xiao Yuer is obsessed with it. This moment, he is the only one. Xuanzang said that it is more concise and clear. As for Anu, this moment is even more endlessly hot. Ha ha ha. Master, let me say, the person who can make me a slave willing to bow down is definitely the only one in this world. Anu was very excited. Long Fei was just a sentence. The shocking weather that was shown directly made him feel great. I'm even more fortunate to my choice. The people of the War Alliance, under the oppression of Long Fei, have shivered, and some people can't stop the pressure and lie directly on the ground. It is those Avengers who are also under pressure at this time, and they dare not look directly at Long Fei's eyes. Raytheon and the blushing which looked at each other, and both of them were shocked by the breath of Long Fei. At this moment, no one of them doubts, because such a strength, such a means, if it is really malicious to the earth, then the entire planet cannot withstand his power. Even the original tyrants and the current Long Fei are incomparable. Do not say anything else. The reason why the tyrants can kill half of the universe can only rely on the power of the original stone. And Long Fei, by itself, already has the power of this inferior stone. Therefore, if Long Fei wants to destroy the earth, and even destroy the entire galaxy, it will not be easy. When Long Fei's eyes moved, he naturally guessed the thoughts of the Avengers such as Raytheon, and immediately said, "The world is changing, and now the earth is not the beginning. When one day I really control a certain power, it is not impossible to resurrect your beauty team and the brothers who have died in battle." Long Fei said again. In an instant, Raytheon and Blush Face are huge changes. Really, if you can really bring them back to life, we can still follow you. Yes, and if you're telling the truth, we can only follow you and have the power to counter them. The two exclaimed, they all looked very excited, and then directly said their own ideas. At this time, Long Fei can also feel that the two people have already been impressed by themselves. Hey, congratulations to the players, complete the mission, and assemble the Avengers. Chapter 4738. Chapter 4738. Hey, congratulations to the player to complete the mission. Get the system reward, a map of the infinite rough position coordinates. Hey, congratulations to the player to trigger the second ring mission, to include the Super League players. Task level, S level. Task time, 1 day. Task requirements, to relieve the crisis of the Super God Alliance Hentang and to assemble the Super League players. Task reward, talent tree. Task punishment, death. The flying sound of Long Fei's mind is constant, but the result is a bit unexpected. I don't think this is a serial task. At the same time, Long Fei took a look at the welfare task trigger before and has completed more than 60%. It can be seen that the task of a Super War Alliance is directly 1/3 of the progress bar. It can be seen that there are so few threats to the real cultivation of the East. In other words, the system really let Long Fei help solve it, but it is just a few. The islands gossip, Egypt's Anubai, the Super War League, and the Super Alliance. The Super God Alliance and the Super War Alliance are the same level of existence. It is conceivable that the last stop of this ring mission is the Super God Alliance. However, seeing the serial task triggered by the system, Long Fei has the feeling of a bureaucracy, just like it is in the mission itself, but it unexpectedly triggers a new mission. There is no danger or punishment for the welfare task itself. At this time, it is a joke. Welfare tasks are not dangerous. However, the serial task under this welfare task is more than a dangerous Super War League, and at most 1 paragraph, but this time, the Super Alliance is directly death. What a special pit. I thought it was a big heart for this time. I didn't expect the triggered task to be more dangerous than once. Long Fei heart spit. However, this time the rewards did make Dragon fly. Talent tree. As a game player, how can Long Fei not understand? This is a super bug. It is an improvement and enhancement of one's ability. However, in the game, there are limits, only 18 points. But if applied to reality, the talent tree is in its own hands. I don't know if there is any such restriction. If there is no limit, is truly invincible. However, this idea is just to think about it. The system will never allow such a bug, otherwise, who can block the pace of Long Fei? At this time, Long Fei looked at several Avengers. Since you have followed me now, let me fight the first battle with me. Reassure, I will grind you into the Avengers who can really blame God. Otherwise, only the Witch and Raytheon's Avengers Alliance is really not enough. But before you leave, you have to do something for me. Long Fei retracted his mind and said silently. And with the sound of Long Fei falling, Raytheon and Blush were cold on their faces and immediately turned their eyes to the direction of the Super League. Unsurprisingly, the last thing that Long Fei said was to sanction the Super League, because the current Super League, although there is no power to practice, but the hot air is still a mech, they're already quite civilized. Coupled with the genetic warrior, it is indeed a threat to the East. He doesn't leave. Naturally, it doesn't matter. However, Jiuding is one. The mythical world is open, and he must leave. Therefore, the Super League must give pressure. Only in this way can really give the East more time. No, you are the Avengers. What do you want? Don't you forget that we have control over the Hydra's scepter in our hands. Do you want to turn your face with us? You'd better wake up, otherwise we'll use the Hydra. Even if it is to destroy the world, it does not hesitate. At this moment, the people of the War Alliance are equally nervous, and their eyes are full of panic. The horror of Long Fei has penetrated into the bone marrow. If the Avengers are now working on them, they will have no power to fight. And Raytheon and Blush, both of them are a shock. Obviously, they were also given the town's words. Looking at each other, Long Fei seems to be asking about Long Fei's attitude. Do it, destroy the super strong armor core. These people don't kill. Long Fei said indifferently. The life and death of these people, Long Fei really did not care too much. Because there is no variant of the mech, at most it is only a strong, but it is not a giant. Any world has its own rules. Oriental practitioners, if there are no variants of the mech, they can only say that the practice is also a fart. When the people of the War Alliance heard it, they immediately became angry. This is simply to pull our War Alliance down the altar. In this case, let's die together. Start the Hydra's scepter. In an instant, a roaring sound appeared. I saw that in the War Alliance. The layers of the building began to peel off and directly formed a high platform. On the high platform, a scepter full of endless power was shining. Hey! The scepter of the Hydra's scepter bursts infinitely, and the power of a horror is instantly released. The host, grown-ups, Long Fei brother, Anu, the Avengers, and Xiao Yuer, and others all spoke. Under this kind of power, they're not allowed to move at all. The only thing that can be counted is Long Fei. And Long Fei, at this time, also felt the shock of his heart. This power is too familiar. This is the power of the original stone. Even with the original strength of the original stone, there is no difference at all. With me, you can't start this kind of power, you can't control it. The eternal life, the town. Long Fei's voice swayed, and his body rose to the sky. Among the two eyes is the power of eternal life. At the moment when the power of eternal life collided with the power of the Hydra, the entire War Alliance base was involved. Rumble, rumble. The loud noise appeared, and the entire war base was completely collapsed at this moment. This power is too strong. Whether it is the source of strength or the power of eternal life, it is the top force in the world. It is above all forces. When it collides, it is definitely not something that the War League can see. And Long Fei, at this moment, directly caught the Hydra in his hand. It is even more electric and flint, and directly throws the Hydra into the system space. But below, at this moment, it has become a ruin. It is the people of the War Alliance, and there are countless deaths and injuries. Not to mention the core of the mech. Everything, with this moment, vanished. You can't live without it. I wanted to leave you a life. You are yourself. Don't know how to cherish. Long Fei stood above the void and faintly opened. It was cold in the dawn. At this point, a wave of volatility is transmitted from a distant direction. When Long Fei's eyes turned, his heart suddenly stunned. Cloud top. Chapter 4739. Chapter 4739, Super God Alliance Headquarters, A Dreamy Void, is like a continent that rises out of nowhere, full of dreamy colors. The towering ancient woods, the strange rocks, and the power of a strange element shuttle in the air, very strange. On top of this continent, it is full of various regions. If Long Fei is here, you will feel amazed. This special. It is completely a new continent. The entire continent, suspended above the Earth's western hemisphere, encompasses multiple pasts and even spans half of the Earth. In other words, this is not just an alliance, but a domain. Because compared to people on Earth, this is God. Yes, it is such an aerial continent above the secular, but at this time, it is full of endless repression. At this time, there is an endless jungle. What to do? Our current combat power can't stop it. Hateful, once they guarded the whole world, but now they have to be the executioners in those hands to attack us. Can't stop it, this time I can't stop it. Among the jungle, the headquarters of the Alliance. A group of people gathered together and looked worried. On top of their heads, a boulder visible to the naked eye is slowly coming. This boulder, doped between the clouds, is like carrying a huge battlefield. A devastating atmosphere of the stock emerged from it, making the dream world of this super alien alliance full of sorrow. Contact other forces, this is a matter of the whole League. Otherwise, it will be the end of our alliance. Said the first person. He is very clear that this time for the League, it is a crisis. A crisis of survival. The world of hentai is quietly coming. That kind of escaped sin of scent made him feel dull and incomprehensible. The East, the land of geoding. With the passage of time, the trend of the integration of geoding has become more and more perfect. Visible to the naked eye, geoding has merged into one, and the patterns between each other have really emerged. Kyushu is also on the top of the giant ding, and the performance is vivid. The mountains and rivers are tall and straight, and the rivers are handsome and fascinating. What is even more shocking is that the entire giant tripod between the hovering actually involved the entire eastern land to shake. As if Juding has merged with the entire land of the east, suppressing this side in general. At this point, Liu looked at Juding in front of him, and his eyes also burst into a fine man's. Come on, Juding will be one. Is that world coming? Liu muttered to himself, and his heart was very excited. In these few days, for Liu, waiting is a torment. Although he did not know what Long Fei was going to do. But in recent times, the strong power fluctuations that have erupted all over the world have already made him guess what he is, and his heart is inevitably somewhat moving. However, since Long Fei let him guard the Ding Ding, then he will never leave. Nowadays, when Ding Ding is about to merge successfully, he naturally expects it more. But at this time, Liu did not notice that a black shadow appeared in the distant crowd. Ding Ding, since you killed my witch sorcerer, I still won't get Ding Ding. I am delusional. Witchcraft chaos. The black shadow is faint. At the same time, above the entire void, two giant palms emerged out of thin air, going straight toward the Ding Ding. It seems that from this void, the ding will be removed. In an instant, Leaf Fish slammed into the eyes and immediately angered. Court death. Give me a hand. After staying for so many days, now that Ding Ding has been successful, how can he tolerate this chaos? Therefore, at the moment when this giant palm appeared above the void, the fish caught in the sky. Hey! Liu did not hesitate, and a punch directly hit the giant palm. Oh, useless. The means of my witches. You can imagine what you can do. Don't think that the change of heaven and earth allows you to have some repairs to do what you want. In front of my witches, you are slag. Witchcraft shocked the world. At this time, a gloomy voice appeared, directly penetrating the void. At the same time, the figure hiding in the crowd also flew out, manipulating the giant palm appearing above the void and colliding with the fist of Liu. Rumble. A terrible wave of horror erupted in the void. Even the giant tripod was alarmed and directly deviated from the original process, and the trend of convergence suddenly stopped. Hey, and Liu. Under this collision, the body also violently retreat by a few dozen feet. A pair of fists has been all over the black and blue color. Poisonous, Li Fish said in resentment, biting his teeth. Oh, the means of my witches are uniquely endowed. Even if your cultivation and physical body are comparable to the peak of the soaring period, this means is not enough. The shadow of the body appears. Is the leader of the witches today. At this moment, the stunned mountains and other people in the practice also woke up and saw that the fish was besieged, and they immediately guessed what was happening. The thief is so daring. Even the things of Long Fei adults dare to move. Give me a death. The screaming of the mountain and the 7 people behind him are also instantly got up. They must join the battle. I never thought, just in the moment they got up under the soles of the feet, there was a black figure. This figure is like a ghost, and with the movement of both hands, the body of Jingshan and others will be imprisoned. Oh, la la la. Then there is an invisible chain that appears directly on several people. Haha, Long Fei, still an adult? With him also? And you have a group of wastes. My people have used the power of the earth long before, and they are surrounded by you. They are also using the witchcraft secrets to imprison you. I still want to shoot now. It's late. The witch leaders laugh. Immediately, look at Li Yu. You are the brother of Long Fei? Very good. Long Fei does not know how to live and die, even dare to move the son of my great witch. Today, this seat has married his brother, took his ding, and then let him kneel at me. In front of him. The sorcerer of the Wu people said, and then the body moved and slammed toward the ding. Dog things, you dare to insult my boss, but also dare to play the idea of ding-ding. Stand for me. Li Fish screamed. His eyes turned into a blood red, a horrible breath, and the body screamed. The next moment, in the hands of Li Yu, Fang Tianju printed high, waving the void. Rumble. The power of violent repression broke out on the seal of Li Yu Fang Tian. Is the leader of the witch, and this moment seems to feel the crisis, the hand that's stretched out, and the hard life is shrinking back. And Li Yu, but regardless of the careless eyes, as if they have locked the leader of the witch, chasing away. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.